Hokage give me a face, Chapter 301-320. Chapter 301 can't stand it. The endless roaring sound resounded continuously on the battlefield, the collision of ninjutsu, the collision of taijutsu, the roar, and the screams were endless. 30 elite Jonin trapped Tsunade and Sunset, while on the other side, Yizan would teleport to the edge of the battlefield while beheading elite Jonin to help his little girlfriends kill the enemy. Cut. Even B-grade blue junk books appeared. 10 ingots are useless. 30% of Yizan's attention has been on Makoto and Conan. Once in danger, he will immediately teleport over to relieve the predicament of the two girls. However, when encountering evenly matched opponents, he would not help. He brought them to the battlefield for the purpose of training, including some minor injuries. Yizan did not help either. No need to be a ninja. Yizan didn't want to care about Kushina's side at all. This crazy girl turned on the tail beast mode and rushed into the crowd. She even suppressed the Jinchuriki column power of the one-tailed person by herself. In recent years, her strength has skyrocketed. Jonin, also because of Erwei's problem. In the past few years, she has been teasing Erwei in her body space when she has nothing to do. In addition to using the Meow Stick, she also uses chakra to transform into fingers, constantly scratching Erwei's chin. A cat, although it is a big cat at the level of a tailed beast, Erwei's body is always a cat, and his favorite is to be scratched on the chin. Because of this, Erwei gradually lost his hostility to Kushina, and was even more willing to give some of his power to Kushina for free, hoping that Kushina would scratch his chin more. 30% of Yizan's attention was on Makoto and Conan, 50% of his attention was on his thoughts, and the last 20% of his attention was used to kill the enemy. With a bug-like Hiraishin's technique, combined with his infinite chakra, he felt that the war was too simple. The previous battle shattered the desert, but now that I think about it, it is simply stupid. Yizan didn't know. At this moment, Chiyo and the 4th generation Kazekage were looking at him eagerly. Knowing that Yizan could not be stopped, they attacked the Konoha ninja frantically, and by the way waited for Yizan to consume all the chakra. Swarmed up, 2Kage the siege of the level can easily kill the weak Yizan in seconds. But 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes passed. Yizan is still beheading the sand ninja vigorously, sending occasional delays and dazes. Yizan has killed 500 sand ninjas in just 10 minutes. How can this happen? Can't use up Shimura-zan's chakra. This is an S-level forbidden technique. Where can he use it like this? 4 generations of Kazekage cursed. He felt that Yizan would not be able to do it for a minute at most, but now a full 10 minutes have passed, but the other party has not responded. 4th generation, are you still holding on? It's all for this sake. How could it be possible to retreat? Maybe Shimura-zan will die soon. Hold on. 4 generations of Kazekage finished speaking. They started attacking the Konoha ninja again, and then another 10 minutes passed. Sao Mom. When the 4th generation of Kazekage found that Yizan was still alive and well, he finally couldn't help but utter a foul language, his eyes flashing with violent killing intent. I can't bear it anymore. He roared violently, and once again controlled the overwhelming gold dust to attack Yizan. Yizan easily dodged, and finally turned his eyes to Kazekage. What are you doing? It's disrupting my rhythm. Yizan's face was full of grievances. That feeling of 1 second was very refreshing. As a result, as soon as it was interrupted by the 4 Kazekage, the sense of rhythm disappeared. You were wronged. Seeing Yizan's appearance, the 4th generation Kazekage was really angry. He raised the chakra frantically, and with an irrational attitude, condensed a super gold sea of more than 5,000 square meters in the air. Shimura-gen, go die. More than 5,000 square meters of sand and gold enclosed, forming a super huge sand ball with a diameter of 900 meters, and then call out. With a light sound, Yizan teleported directly from the sand ball to Makoto's side on the edge of the battlefield, and easily dealt with a Chunin who was trying to sneak attack on Makoto. then looked at the 4 generations of Kage in the distant desert, and shrugged innocently. How about you? Shall I drill back again? Damn, bullying is too much. I can't kill you, I will kill you all. Konoha. Mystery. Sand waterfall burial. At that moment, the sand ball in the sky turned into a thick ocean again, and fell madly towards the bottom. Once the sand sea, which is countless times heavier than water, falls, even Jonin will be smashed. 4th generation. You're crazy. Stop it. Chiyo yelled. You know, there are not only Konoha, but also Sharon on the battlefield. If you smash like this, your own people will die. The 4th generation of Kage, who had been driven crazy by Yizan, was desperate, but Yizan just shook his head helplessly, and teleported behind Kage with the Hiraishin technique. You put all your power in midair, and your body can't hide. It's you who didn't defend yourself, don't blame me. Futon, wind style, spiral thrust. The sharp index finger burst into a terrifying hurricane. Yizan fiercely stabbed at the heart of the 4th generation Kage mercilessly. However, at this moment, several puppets rushed towards Yizan at a very fast speed. Yizan opened his eyes slightly, his eyes full of surprise. Anticipate. It's a prediction. With his Hiraishin speed, Chiyo's puppet cannot keep up, unless Chiyo guesses that he will attack Kage and uses the puppet to rescue in advance. He couldn't open the futon wind style armor and couldn't use the Hiraishin technique when using the spiral thrust. Yizan instantly judged that if he pierced Kage's heart, he would also be pierced by a puppet. Dodge, that's for sure. However, Yizan has never been a loser. He suddenly shifted his body, and when Qianjun escaped the fatal point, his back was slashed by a puppet knife. Ruined. Seeing Yizan's actions, Chiyo's face turned ashen. She didn't expect Yizan to use this method at all, because at this moment, although Yizan was slashed by his own puppet, the ninjutsu in Yizan's hand did not disappear. Yizan never suffers in doing things. When he shifted his body, his fingers also shifted. The spiral thrust didn't hit Kage's back, but like an indestructible cyan laser, it hit Kage's back shoulder, following the deviation of his body, and pulled out an arc. Ah! An earth-shattering scream, blood splattered all over the sky. 4th generation Kage were chopped off by Yizan with the tips of his fingers. Chapter 302 _ The Butterfly Effect. Kage is back. It was Chiyo who brought him back. But the sea of gold dust in the sky is still falling downwards. Once the range and weight of more than 5,000 meters are dropped, Konoha will lose at least 700 people. There was no way. Yizan had to use the ability of the face fruit to stop the gold falling, and he did not cancel the ability until the Konoha ninja below escaped. From the beginning of the war to the defeat of Kage, it took less than 3 weeks in total. Everyone understands the principle of chasing after victory, and Yizan is no exception. He continued to lead the army to attack the Country of Wind, so that the Country of Wind kept losing towns and retreating. Yizan didn't know that he had lived in this world for more than 10 years and made so many changes. At this moment, the butterfly effect finally occurred. The Land of Earth, Danzo's army is fighting a tough battle with Onoki. Uzumaki Mawako can't control Kyubi, Ninetales, and with Uzumaki Liushin's help, she can only tie with the 4-tailed Jinchuriki column Lilaozi. Danzo couldn't beat Onoki. Fortunately, Namikaze Minato used Hiraishin's technique to constantly harass Onoki, and the 2-volts one was barely tied. 5-tailed Jinchuriki column can't be controlled. This man kills the quartet on the battlefield, and it is difficult for a group of elite Jonin to control. The most important thing is that there are more powerhouses in the Land of the Earth than Konoha, and the number is twice that of Konoha. After several battles, the Danzo Legion kept retreating and lost a lot of towns. As for these towns, Onoki did not destroy a single bit of the towns except for camping and rest. After all, in his mind, these towns will be the land of the land in the future, yes, of course, to protect. Quote exclamation mark. The strength of the land is too strong, and we have been beaten so badly in these weeks. Morale continues to decline, and our legion will collapse if it continues like this. The status quo must be changed. The tent, Danzo's face was solemn. In order to stabilize the military, he did not call anyone except Namikaze Minato. Lord Danzo, is there any way to change it? Namikaze Minato was equally serious, and as a part of Konoha, he has deep feelings for Konoha. There are many strong people in the land of the earth, and there are many people. There is only one method at present, but this method is difficult and the risk factor is extremely high. If you are not careful, you will die. Danzo was a little hesitant. Namikaze Minato was Yizan's good friend after all, and he was a genius with amazing talent. Because of his age, Minato was just a jonin. If he hadn't reached a desperate situation, he would have been reluctant to let Namikaze Minato be involved. For Danzo, Minato completely trusts, because he believes in Yizan, and he also believes that Danzo will not hurt himself on purpose. Lord Danzo, if there is anything that can be used for me, please feel free to speak. For the sake of Konoha, no matter how dangerous it is, I am willing to do it. Namikaze Minato has a serious face. He is not afraid of sacrifice, because Konoha is his home. This point, Danzo finally made up his mind. He looked for Minato because Minato knew the technique of Hiraishin. Perhaps, there was a glimmer of hope of success. It is impossible to defeat the land of the land head-on. If you can't face it, you will develop from the side. The essence of war is strength, military supplies, and food and grass. The land of the land occupied New Kikyo Castle 2 weeks ago. Because of the mountains, they must be transported through the Canopy Bridge. Forage, as long as the Canopy Bridge is blown up, the land of Earth will not be able to continue transporting food and forage. If we take a detour, the delivery time will be at least 10 times longer. Even if the land of Earth does not retreat, it will not be so radical, but the construction of Canopy Bridge in the highest place in New Kikyo Castle. If you want to blow up the Canopy Bridge, you must pass through a large number of ninjas residing in the New Kikyo city. This mission is a life and death mission. Minato, are you willing to accept it? Quote. Danzo's tone was very sincere. He analyzed the matter thoroughly and spoke out the harm. Hearing Danzo's words, Minato nodded without hesitation. I do. Very good. In order to increase the success rate of mission completion, I suggest to find a squad as bait, you know what I mean. Understood. Don't worry, Lord Danzo, I will complete the task for our common home. Leaving Danzo's tent, Namikaze Minato walked around the camp with a heavy face. He already had a few candidates in mind, but was it too Ms. Minato? At this moment, a cheerful voice sounded. Such an optimistic attitude is extremely rare in this dignified defeat station. Oh, Obito, do you have anything to do with me? Namikaze Minato gently rubbed Obito's hair. This is the team he led, 6-year-old genius Kakashi, 8-year-old Obito and 8-year-old Ms. Minato. Another voice sounded, and a girl with 2 lines of purple oil paint on her face came out of the tent next to her. Her face was delicate and white, with a little baby fat, and she looked extremely cute. Rin, why is it just the 2 of you, Kakashi? In the tent, he was slightly injured before. I treated him for 2 days and finally recovered. Nohara Rin bent his neck and narrowed his eyes happily. Nohara Rin finished speaking. Kakashi came out of the tent, still wearing a mask, his cold eyes showing no emotion. Ms. Minato, why did you suddenly come to our Chunin tent area? Is there something wrong? Since Hatake Sakumo feigned death, Kakashi's mental outlook has completely changed, losing the pride of genius that he used to be, and is now a cold, emotionless one. Kakashi didn't know. His words made Namikaze Minato stunned for a moment, only to realize that he had unconsciously walked to the Chunin tent area and in front of the 3 students brought by 4.6, all subconsciously. In other words, from the very beginning, did you make up your mind to let them accompany you to carry out the mission of life and death? He blamed himself a bit, but he had to think so. After all, this was a war about the overall situation of Konoha, and because of the huge disadvantage on the frontal battlefield, he could only take a few kittens and dogs to carry out the mission. Bait. With my Hiraishin, as long as they can hold on for a while, I can rescue them when I blow up the Canopy Bridge. Thinking of this, Namikaze Minato finally made up his mind. He looked at the three of them, the corners of his mouth moved, and he finally came out. Kakashi, Obito, Rin, there's an urgent mission, and I hope you'll do it with me. Chapter 303-Bait. Here, this is my special kunai. When I blow up the Canopy Bridge, I will come to you immediately. Namikaze Minato handed the three specially made kunai to the three, and the serious look made the three of them nervous. Minato, sensei, are we really going to blow up the Canopy Bridge? Obito's voice was a little false. Now, most of the western territory of the Land of Fire is occupied by the Land of the Land. The new Kikyo Castle connected by the Canopy Bridge is the lifeline of the Land of the Land. Just a few of them. No way. I also know that this is a very dangerous mission, but we Konoha are about to lose. With only a quarter of the power of all Konoha, we can't fight the land of the country at all, and it is imperative to blow up the Canopy Bridge. Don't worry, the three of you are just bait, it's enough to attract on the outside. Kakashi, remember to protect Obito and Rin, your strength is the strongest. Oh. Kakashi replied lightly, if something happened to his teammate, he would of course save him, provided that it didn't affect the mission. The group quietly left the Konoha station, made a big circle, avoided the ninjas in the Land of the Land, and quickly moved towards the new Kikyo Castle. 30. Canopy Bridge is the only weakness of the Land of the Land. Konoha knows it, doesn't the Land of the Land know? In order to ensure absolute defense, Onoki arranged for 500 ninjas to be stationed in New Kikyo Castle. In order to prevent Konoha ninjas from becoming civilians, New Kikyo Castle has already restricted access, only allowed to go out, not allowed to enter. Canopy Bridge, the highest point of the New Kikyo city, there are more than a dozen Jonins standing at both ends of the bridge. With such a lineup, even if cage-level powerhouses come, they will at least have a chance to shout. By then, hundreds of ninjas will swarm up. Cage level also only run. Since the Canopy Bridge is made of the best materials in the world, it is spacious and strong, so if you want to blow up the bridge, you must use dozens of detonating symbols to detonate them at the same time, otherwise the bridge will not be able to blow up at all. Minato-sensei, how do we get in? Behind the rock outside the new Kikyo city, Uchiha Obito was full of doubts. A dozen ninjas were guarding the door. Only civilians were allowed out, but they were not allowed in. No matter what, they could not get in. Of course the three of you can't go in. As for the way, I have already discussed with Mr. Danzo. Namikaze Minato smiled mysteriously, then took out a special kunai from his arms again and handed it to Kakashi. A battle will break out. You throw this kunai into the city with all your strength. It's better to throw it on the roofs of the houses in the city. Do you have faith? It's no problem, Mr. Minato, I'm very strong. Don't underestimate me. Kakashi's voice was cold, obviously not satisfied with Minato's tone. Minato didn't care either. He patted Kakashi's head and said with a smile, Kakashi, use transformation technique. Transformation technique. Well, you know Shimura-gen, become like him. Kakashi felt inexplicable. Although he knew Yizan, he only had contact with Yizan a few times. He knew that Yizan used to be his father's subordinate. As for Yizan's reputation in the ninja world, he really didn't know because of his age. Not to mention Obito and Rin, they don't even know what Yizan looks like. Although Obito has heard about the conflict between Uchiha and Shimura's family, he still hears about it. As for the conflict, why is there conflict with Shimura's family? He was completely unaware. But Minato wanted to change, just change. Thinking of this, Kakashi released a slight trace of chakra, and instantly turned into Yizan's appearance. Very good, Kakashi, your transformation technique is good, but your demeanor needs to change a bit. No. It's not arrogant. Smile, the corners of your mouth laugh, yes. And the corners of your eyes. Don't smirk. Do you understand the hippie smile? Namikaze Minato kept correcting Kakashi's demeanor, but Kakashi was taught to be serious by Hatake Tsukumo since he was a child, and because of Hatake Tsukumo's feigned death, he couldn't laugh at all and couldn't make Yizan's giggling expression. Hey, Kakashi, didn't you just say that you shouldn't look down on you? Why can't you even imitate your demeanor? If you look like this, people will know that you are fake. Minato-sensei, are you going too far? How can you guarantee that the ninjas of the Land of the Gate know Shimura-san? I don't laugh, I don't look like Shimura. How could these ninjas of the Land know such a thing? That's right, Mr. Minato, Kakashi is right, that's Shimura you said. Shimura, what is it? Oh, it's that person anyway. Who are you, and why do ninjas from the Land of the Land know him? Obito, it is rare to stand on the same front as Kakashi. In his heart, it is just a transformation technique, how can it become more and more complicated? Nohara Rin didn't say a word, but she also agreed in her eyes. Unless it's a very familiar person, who would pay attention to the mere demeanor? Seeing the dissatisfaction of the three, Minato shook his head helplessly. If he hadn't grown up with Yizan, he wouldn't believe that Yizan, who was the same age as himself, had such an exaggerated reputation in the ninja world. Kakashi, forget it if you don't believe it, but I have to warn you, if the gatekeeper finds something wrong, you have to laugh immediately. Remember, it's not a smirk, it's not a smile, it's a hippie smile, understand? Understood. Kakashi dragged a long tail, obviously disbelieving, and Minato didn't say anything anymore. He looked at Obito and Rin, and said slowly, Obito, you have transformed into the appearance of Danzo-sama. Rin, you have transformed into the appearance of Tsunade. Have you seen Tsunade? I met Tsunade-sama on the street. She is so beautiful, so pretty. My biggest dream is to become a female ninja like Tsunade-sama. Yizan is quiet. Tsunade's reputation among the Konoha commoners and genin circles is very loud. Okay, it's almost time. You remember, when the three of you walk past, the ninja guarding the gate will not rush to you. They will move rescue soldiers. Kakashi, you must remember to throw the special kunai into the city, and throw it away. The farther away the better, preferably on the roof. Do you understand? Got it. Chapter 304 Blow up the Canopy Bridge. The gate of New Kikyo Castle. Dozen Jonin chatted in boredom. The dozen or so Jonin, there are 5 elite Jonin. Obviously, the Land of the Land has already made sufficient preparations for the new Kikyo city. When will this day come to an end? I will stay here like a corpse every day, if only I could go to the battlefield. One of the Jonin yawned boredly, with a lazy expression on his face. Don't be lazy, I can warn you that the new Kikyo castle is the most fatal weakness of our land. Lord Tsuchikage has already said that if Konoha wants to win the war, he will blow up the Canopy Bridge at some point. Come on, another elite Jonin reprimanded. Although the yawning Jonin was upset, he didn't dare to talk back. He slapped his lips lazily, looking at the environment outside the city without doing anything. He had seen these environments thousands of times, and even remembered the locations of flowers and grasses clearly. The sudden appearance of 3 figures made the ninja rubbed his eyes in confusion. He felt that he was wrong. How could these 3 people appear here? But Canopy Bridge is the most fatal weakness of the Land of the Land. It seems possible for them to come, right? Maybe it will come. Thinking of this Jonin opened his mouth exaggeratedly, and his voice became very sharp due to nervousness. Enemy attack! Jonin screamed, and the dozen or so ninjas at the gate of the city suddenly looked over. The elite Jonin's pupils shrank sharply, staring at Kakashi. His body subconsciously took a step back. Shimura-gen. How could it be? Shimura-gen is here to attack the new Kikyo castle. And Shimura Danzo. And Tsunade. Quick, call for reinforcements. Elite Jonin yelled, but instead of advancing, he quickly retreated toward the city gate. Facing such a terrifying trio, he would die if he attacked alone. However, the next second, as if he had discovered something, he frowned slightly, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. Huh. That's not right. Isn't Shimura-san like to wriggle his ass, like to laugh? Why don't you laugh today? Elite Jonin instantly made Kakashi change color. In order to complete the task, he resisted his inner rejection, cracked his mouth, and laughed hilariously. Shit, sure enough, it's Shimura-gen. This is Shimura-gen's expression. What? Rewind. Call out. The dozen or so Jonins were retreating at the gate. Kakashi violently threw the special kunai into the city, accurately inserting it at the top of the house in the city, and his behavior did not attract the attention of these Jonin. After all, he just threw a kunai, what does it count? Shimura-gen is here. This kind of news quickly spread to the ears of all the ninjas in the new Kikyo city, and after a while, they saw the dark shadows rushing down from the sky and gathered towards the city gate. Run! Seeing that the mission was completed, Kakashi made a decisive decision and fled into the distance frantically. Obito and Rin also reacted and started to escape following Kakashi's footsteps. In the eyes of this group of Jonins, the three Kakashi were very slow, very slow, very slow, as if they were as slow as one Chunin and two Genin, but they did not dare to chase, and they stared vigilantly at the three who were getting further and further away. In the personal shadow, one of the elites, Jonin, shrunk in the back. Don't chase. They're obviously trying to lure us to attack. We just need to defend Kikyo Castle. Shimura-san is the best at burying detonating charms, so if you go out, you'll be dead. His words were approved by everyone, and at this moment, another elite Jonin rushed down from the top of the higher altitude. Looking at the three Kakashi who could hardly be seen in the distance, he suddenly closed his eyes, and his body radiated there as a chakra fluctuation. Not Shimura-gen. What? Not Shimura-gen, nor Shimura Danzo, nor Tsunade. They are in disguise. It's transformation technique. Chase. Don't. It's just 3 pieces of rubbish. If it's a trap, it'll be bad. In this case, the 5 of you go after them, and if you kill them, come back immediately. As ordered. 5 ordinary Jonin quickly chased in the direction where Kakashi fled, and just when most of the ninjas gathered at the gate of the city, Namikaze Minato had used the special kunai coordinates of Hiraishin's technique to enter the new Kikyo castle. He turned into the appearance of a ninja of the land guarding the gate, and walked swaggeringly on the street. Hi, Yanmaksabustchen, aren't you guarding the gate? Why are you back? That. I went back to the house to get something, but I forgot to bring it. Namikaze Minato let out a ha-ha, but luckily the other party didn't care too much, just nodded, obviously not someone he was particularly familiar with. Maybe he thought the gate guard was too perfect, and Minato turned into a ninja in the land of the earth. He walked all the way for about 20 minutes, and finally came to the highest section of Kikyo Castle. At the end of the road, it was spacious and solid. The Canopy Bridge, but on this stretch of the road, stand a dozen elite Jonin. Rock Moksabustchen, why are you here? An elite Jonin saw Minato first and asked aloud. It's like this, Shimura-san and Shimura Danzo attacked at the gate just now. Let me inform you now, all gather together, and prevent Shimura-san from attacking one by one. Minato said it righteously, and this elite Jonin didn't have any doubts. He quickly greeted him a few times, and soon, a dozen elite Jonin were completely concentrated. The opportunity was fleeting. At that moment, Minato's eyes flashed for a while, and he suddenly put his hand into the ninja pouch around his waist. The sudden scene suddenly made all the elite Jonin vigilant. Rock Moksabustchen, what are you doing? Shish. Dozens of specially made kunai attacked the group of ninjas in an instant, and the group of ninjas immediately pulled out the kunai block, but the next second, a golden figure appeared in the blind spot beside him, and flashed a dozen times in an instant. Hiraishin Array. Swish swish. Blood in the sky and screams, and a dozen elite Jonins who gathered together were killed by the unexpected Hiraishin formation. The sudden situation finally alarmed the ninjas several hundred meters below. When the ninjas below found the dead more than a dozen elite Jonin, they immediately roared loudly. At this moment, Namikaze Minato had already attached the chakra-triggering detonator to the Kanabi Bridge with great speed. When a large group of ninjas arrived from a few hundred meters below the ramp, Minato had already rushed over the Kanabi Bridge, and the bridge was covered with stickers. Detonator. Mission accomplished. Boom. Chapter 305 Sharingan, Kakashi. In a cave a few kilometers outside of the new Kikyo Castle, Obito was smashed into half by a rock. Nohara Rin looked at Obito with a sad face. Obito's mouth kept bleeding, and his breath became weaker and weaker. Reikiri. Quote. Sizzle. Thunder shrieked sharply, bursting with dazzling rays of light, and under the unbelievable gazes of the other four land kingdoms, Jonin, Kakashi's right hand pierced the heart of his companion. Whoa! Orangutan Yuhi's eyes, the two black tomo slowly turned. Kakashi was half kneeling on the ground and gasping for breath. What he just used was the ninjutsu he developed independently based on the thunder attribute nature transformation taught to him by Hatake Tsukumo, Reikiri. Rin, run away. Kakashi cheered up again, quickly hand seal, and condensed Reikiri in his right hand. Obito entrusted you to me, so even if I die, I will protect you. His eyes were fixed on Jonin, the land of four, and his tone became more and more serious. Rin, you know, Obito likes you. I like you very, very much. He entrusted you to me, and I will not let you hurt. Run away. But, Rin, stop talking nonsense. Run, Reikiri. Kakashi yelled again, jumped up suddenly, and rushed towards the other Jonin frantically. There were two Tomo Sharingan. But, want to fight recklessly, dream about it. Bang. The soil was flying, and Jonin, the land of the earth, easily avoided Kakashi's Reikiri with a stand-in technique. After this move, Kakashi opened the door wide, and there were flaws all over his body. Shish. Four Jonins shot at the same time, and Kakashi, who was only a few years old, brought back their memories of 10 years ago. It was a 7-year-old child who was equally talented. He grew up and became an existence that many people feared. Konoha has Shimura-zan, there is no way to have a second one. Kid, go to hell. Doten, Earth Style, the art of the iron cannon. Doten, Earth Style, Earth Dragon Bullet. Doten, Earth Style, Rock Stealing Stick. Doten, Earth Style, Toon Gun. 4 Jonin level ninjutsu came from 4 directions, and the terrifying chakra fluctuations made Kakashi close his eyes in despair. The midsummer night wind blows the grass swaying, and the fragrance of the soil and grasses mixed together. In the night, countless stars are shining. Sitting on the big boulders in the wide grass, Namikaze Minato sighed softly. Teacher. Minato's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden voice, and when he turned to look, he realized that Kakashi had woken up. You're finally awake. Minato looked at Kakashi and took out a special kunai. This kunai art allows me to travel through space. It's alright, those 4 Jonin were all taken, I beat it. Kakashi was a little surprised by Minato's words, as if he remembered something. Kakashi looked around in panic, and kept saying, where is Rin? Where is Rin? Over there. Minato pointed to the distance, where Rin Nohara was standing alone on the grassland. The night wind was blowing constantly, blowing the corners of her clothes and short hair away, and she silently looked up at the starry sky, feeling lonely. I'm really sorry for not being able to catch up in time, Rin, Kakashi. The Kanabi Bridge was blown up, and the Onoki side finally got the news. Without supplies, the war could not continue. In desperation, Onoki could only choose to retreat, withdraw from the country of fire, the country of grass, and retreat to the border of the country of soil. The Kanabi Bridge was blown up, and the land of earth could not attack. After only a week, the news reached the ears of several other countries. This was a serious blow to the land of thunder and the land of water. Then another 2 weeks later, a more serious blow came. What? The Kingdom of Wind announced its surrender. What are you doing? 4 generations of Kazekage, Chio, are you sick? Onoki yelled in the tent that the ninja world war was provoked by the Kingdom of Wind. As a result, after only 2 months of fighting, the Kingdom of Wind surrendered. What's the specific situation? Is there any news? Report to Lord Tsuchikage. According to the intelligence description, Shimura learned the technique of Hiraishin, the second-generation Hokage's unique trick, killed thousands of sand ninjas with his own strength, and cut off the shoulder blades and the entire right hand of the 4th-generation Kazekage. Currently, the 4th generation of Kazekage is still on the verge of death from serious injuries. If not for Chio's superb medical skills, the 4th generation of Kazekage would have died. What? Hiraishin again. Damn, why does Konoha always have so much talent? Shimura Gen, Namikaze Minato. Ah. Bang. Wooden table shattered, and Onoki clenched his fists tightly. After a long time, he seemed to have lost all his strength and slumped on the chair with some weakness. Lord Tsuchikage, what should we do? You ask me, who am I to ask? You bastards, what else can you do other than ask me? Ah, say, what else can you do? Onoki was so angry that he kicked Jonin, who was questioning him, into the air. This Jonin didn't dare to be stubborn, so he could only pout pitifully. Lord Tsuchikage, I have a suggestion. The speaker is Lois. As the son of Onoki, Lois is simple and honest, but not stupid. He is very smart and has a high sense of responsibility and team spirit. Lois, tell me what you think. I think so. Lois coughed lightly and continued, the Land of Wind surrenders. Shimura-san will definitely support another front. We lost the Canopy Bridge. In Konoha's eyes, temporarily lost the threat, so Shimura-san either support the front of the Country of Thunder, or support the front of the Country of Water. Well, your analysis is right, go ahead. The problem is, no matter which front Shimura-san supports, this front will collapse. That is to say, the war seems to be continuing, but in fact, we have lost. Instead of admitting defeat, why not take the opportunity to switch targets and occupy another territory? Who is it? Land of Thunder. How? It's very simple, there are no permanent enemies in this world, and there are no permanent friends. We quietly send people to Konoha United, we can. Chapter 306 _ The face fruit is upgraded again, it is against the sky. Not to mention the cowards of the land for the time being, at this moment, Yi-zan is standing proudly in the sea of consciousness. Sleep until I wake up naturally, count money until my hand cramps, it should be my current state. The golden light curtain exudes golden rays of light. In the sea of consciousness, Yi-zan kept counting the skill books, which were densely packed, too many. Sell, sell, sell. All sold. Yi-zan sold book by book, and his more than 50,000 yuan treasure that he had saved after World War II finally began to rush up. When he sold 90% of the skill book, his ingot count finally broke the 100,000 mark. Then, Yi-zan was shocked to see again, 2 options appeared on the screen. Achieving the upgrade conditions, 100,000 yuan treasure can be upgraded to face fruit, yes or no? Yes. I choose yes. Call out. Rushed up from the bottom of the screen with a swish. So, is it still so pitiful? Obviously I'm the master, bastard. Yi-zan kept complaining, he thought that the upgrade special effects would rise from his feet. At this moment, the golden light curtain that has been upgraded for the second time has become platinum gold, from the original white to gold, and then to platinum. This uncreative upgrade routine feels like a completely third-rate web game, bastard. But then again, with Lao Su's 100,000 yuan treasure to upgrade, what new abilities do you have? Yi-zan blinked his eyes, but the platinum-colored screen was silent and motionless. He just stared at the screen silently, and waited, and then a blue vein gradually emerged from his forehead. So do you still want me to experiment by myself? Yi-zan shouted while holding the screen. The platinum gold screen just radiated light, as if mocking Yi-zan, and even the light became brighter. Don't give me any face. It's a shame that you are the host of the face fruit. I'll kill you. Yizan angrily poked the screen with his fingers, poking the screen constantly, what he wanted to do, but suddenly felt a movement from the outside world, and immediately returned his consciousness to the outside world. Why? His consciousness returned. Yizan squinted at Kushina. The girl was hugging his neck carelessly. He lifted it up and hugged Kushina in his arms. I miss you. Kushina pouted, took the initiative to lean in for a kiss. Yizan slammed it a few times, and turned his head in disgust. Ah. What did you eat? A garlic smell. Humph. Nasty. Kushina puffed up her face angrily. She let go of the hand holding Yizan's neck, jumped down, and was about to leave, but Yizan hugged her slender waist tightly. Stinky bastard, what else do you want to do? I ate garlic, don't kiss if you don't want to. Ha. As soon as Kushina finished speaking, Yizan tightly pressed her lips and kissed her for a full 5 minutes in this quiet tent. Kissing and kissing, Yizan gradually came to the feeling. He stared at Kushina with burning eyes, those eyes like a hungry wolf. Kushina's face was full of yuhi, but he didn't struggle. Little girl. It's not. You rascal, big pervert. Kushina buried her head in Yizan's arms. She could already feel the object under Yizan. Her hands hugged Yizan's waist. Driven by Yizan's emotions, she also felt it. At this moment, the tent was suddenly opened. Yizan and Kushina were shocked and immediately separated. Yo 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 yo. It turns out that someone was stealing love in the tent. Tsunade brought Makoto and Conan in. She came to Yizan like a hooligan, raised her green fingers and gently lifted Yizan's chin. Come on, give my sister a smile tilde. Smile a fart. Yizan turned his head in annoyance. Although Tsunade was his own woman, the good deeds of breaking him and Kushina kept the flames in his body from being released. However, Yizan never expected that just when he was muffled, Tsunade suddenly laughed evilly, and she put her head to Yizan's ear. Sizzle. With a light sound, Yizan shuddered all over. He widened his eyes in disbelief, and found Tsunade pursed his lips in his soul-sucking eyes. Little pervert, make up for you tonight tilde. The Kingdom of Wind surrendered, and Yizan rushed to the front of the Kingdom of Thunder with the ninja army non-stop. As for the Land of Water, Kakuzu relied on the unexpected characteristics of the ground resentment to kill the predecessor, the third-generation Mizukage, and captured the opponent's heart. Afterwards, he fought against the 4 generations of Mizukage Yagura by himself. Uchiha and Hyuga fought frantically with the blood-stained family of the Land of Water. Both sides suffered heavy casualties. In this environment, many ninjas showed their genius. One side, such as Uchiha Shisui, was promoted from Genin to Chunin after 2 months on the battlefield. Regardless of the country of water, Yizan continued to consume Uchiha's power, and Yizan took the troops to the country of thunder. During this journey, Yizan continued to study the new abilities of the face fruit, day and night, for a long time, and finally, last night, he researched the upgrade ability of the face fruit. Yizan divided the abilities of the face fruit into 3 levels. The first step is to use strength to intimidate others, and you can also release skill books to enhance the strength of those who are capable. The second gear, you can talk to all the natural elements between heaven and earth, no matter whether it is land, desert, river water or flames, including space, as long as you pay the price of physical strength, you can control it, which can be called element control. The third gear, that is, Yizan's latest research ability, the effect is extremely exaggerated, extremely perverted, extremely buggy, extremely tragic, extremely slappy. This ability, in general terms, is material control. Substance. What is matter? Matter is the birds in the sky, the fish in the water, the beasts, the buildings, anything we see or hear, including ourselves. Last night, when Yizan's army was stationed in the forest of the Land of Fire, they caught a flying squirrel. In order to test his conjecture about the new ability, he took Momonga and locked himself in the tent. Then, Yizan took a deep breath and stared at Momonga. An illusory light enveloped Momonga. Momong squirrel, give me a face and become a puppy. Under Yizan's shocked and almost frantic gaze, Momonga's body gradually shrank, lost its hair, became whiter and more tender, and finally turned into a cub whose eyes had not yet opened. Chapter 307-3 More Generations of Rakage. It's not about controlling time. It's not about controlling time. It's not about controlling time. Important things said 3 times. Yizan faced the camera excitedly, with a, yeah, smile. He wanted to commemorate this moment, and when he got old, he could. Oh no. When Yizan understood the role of the third-order face fruit, he knew that he would never grow old. Not only himself, he could make anyone stay young forever if he wanted to. This is not to control time, but to directly target the substance. For example, just now, he turned Momonga back into a cub, not to change the survival time of Momonga, but also to modify the body cells of Momonga, forcibly modifying Momonga to a juvenile state. Compared with the physical price paid in the second order, the fruit ability, mental power and physical power that act on the material will be consumed at the same time, and the consumption of mental power can be regarded as a manifestation of will. By consuming Yizan's spiritual will, forcibly change the existing state of existence of matter. The border of the land of fire, Sarutobi's face was very tired. The kingdom of thunder is very strong, there is no doubt about that. In addition to the very powerful third-generation Rakage, there are Yailai who is quasi-shadow, Dodai who is quasi-cage level, and Killer Bee who can perfectly control the 8 tails. On Konoha's side, there is Sarutobi, there is Hatake Sakumo who hides his identity, there is Jiraiya, there is a gap in high-end combat power. This also led to that, although Konoha set off ahead of schedule and established defense lines in the land of Tang and even the land of the moon in advance, they had been beaten and retreated, and even the northern territory of the land of fire was occupied by Kumogakure village 30%. Then, Yizan came with the ninja army. That group of scumbags. If they don't surrender, I will fight them to surrender. Tomorrow we will fight directly, and I will make Kumogakure village bleed. I don't know if it was because of the advancement of the fruit ability. Yizan's tone was unprecedentedly arrogant. He also has the capital of arrogance. Although Sarutobi kept persuading Yizan to take it slow, Yizan didn't listen and insisted. Directly to the decisive battle. Stinky boy, don't think you're arrogant if you beat Kazekage. Let me tell you, the strength of Kumogakure village is completely unmatched during World War II. The strength of the third-generation Rakage is much stronger than it was a few years ago. Maybe tomorrow, you will be running around. Jiraiya sneered aside. His chakra was a little unstable, showing a strange feeling. Jiraiya, are you going to break through? Jiraiya wrapped her arms around her arms, her chin held up proudly, her nostrils almost lifted to the sky. So you're very hung up now. Can you mock me at will? Just mocking you. Brat, beat me up if you refuse to accept it. Boom. A loud bang, Jiraiya's entire head was smashed into the ground. His exposed body struggled frantically, his hands resting on the ground, trying to pull his head out. Kushina. Understood. A look from Yizan, Kushina immediately took off, raised his right foot, and stepped on Jiraiya fiercely. Boom. The power of the second tail exploded and directly stepped on the ground into a big pit. Jiraiya lay in the pit and hummed, unable to get up for a long time. Go ahead. Tomorrow I'll deal with the 3 generations of Rakage. Dead Monkey against Killer Bee Jinchuriki, Column Force Killer Bee, Kushina against Dodai, Jiraiya against Iyuiyu, Sakumo, Tsunade, you 2 normal ninjas in charge of harvesting Kumogakure on the battlefield. Then, are there any questions? No. Sarutobi shook his head bitterly. Yizan had already made up his mind. Even if he refuted it, it would be in vain. Moreover, Sarutobi is also curious, is this brat so confident in defeating 3 generations of Rakage? You know, since the end of World War II, after years of practice, the Raiden Thunder style ninjutsu of 3 generations of Rakage has reached the pinnacle, even Sarutobi is not its opponent. Although the stinky boy defeated Kazekage, the fourth generation of Kazekage is scum, so we can't confuse the two. Thinking of this, Sarutobi became nervous again. He glanced at Yizan, hesitated for a moment, and finally said it. Xiaozan, the strength of Reikage and Kazekage are not the same level. Do you really have the confidence to defeat the 3 generations of Reikage? No problem. Sarutobi casually turned his head and whispered in Tsunade's ear. That indifferent attitude made Sarutobi's head full of black lines, but he couldn't refute it again. The next day, the 2 Konoha legions merged into one big legion, led by Sarutobi, and it was magnificent. Third generation of Reikage knew that Yizan's army was coming, which not only did not frighten him, but aroused his strong desire to fight. Shimura Gen. On the endless plain, the 2 legions looked at each other from afar, and the sound of the 3-generation Reikage rough ore spread with chakra, like an angry lion, deafening. What a roar! It's so loud. Yizan stood at the forefront of the Konoha Corps. Shimura-zan, back then, you used your conspiracy and tricks to let the ghost lantern Moon attack my Kumogakure village, causing most of my village to be destroyed. Do you know the guilt? Guilty you, Mom. There's something wrong with your head. Come and hit me if you're not happy. Nonsense. Stupid. Yizan hated this kind of slobber the most. He directly sucked in his phlegm, wrapped it in chakra and spat out fiercely. With a sound of bew, the thick phlegm leapt thousands of meters and hit the collar of the 3rd-generation Reikage. Shimura-zan, you kill. Generation Reikage was furious, instantly turning on the Raiden Thunder-style armor, and madly killing the Konoha Legion. As if a barrel of dynamite was detonated, thousands of Kumogakure ninjas, thousands of Konoha ninjas burst out with deafening screams, and the detonating symbols flew all over the sky. Sage mode, on. The art of Hiraishin. Yizan's figure flickered, and instantly crossed several kilometers. The 3rd-generation Reikage didn't even react, and a violent depression appeared in the Raiden Thunder-style armor. Senpo, Sage Art. Futon, Wind Style. Spiral Thrust. The sharp hurricane spun wildly, piercing a crack in the Raiden Thunder-style armor, and the pupils of the 3rd-generation Reikage shrank dramatically. He had no idea how Yizan appeared by his side, until he hit the Raiden Thunder-style armor, and he just reacted. It's terrifying. How did Shimura-zan's strength grow so fast in recent years? What was that just now? That's right. I remember that I seem to have seen this scene when I was a child, the art of Hiraishin. It's not wrong. This is the 2nd-generation Hokage's trick. The art of Hiraishin. Chapter 308-What's Wrong with Me? The art of Hiraishin. In this world, it is bug-level ninjutsu. In terms of attacking and escaping, he will always take the initiative, and because there is no trajectory when moving in space, even a top-level powerhouse with an extremely fast response is difficult to block. Of course, Hiraishin's technique is not absolutely perfect, because it is just a space ninjutsu, and it does not have any power in itself. In order to cooperate with this high-speed teleportation, the user's attack method must also reach the realm of instant release. For example, Yizan, his strongest attack at present is the spiral thrust in Sage mode, but this kind of attack cannot be instant. Break through the Raiden Thunder-style armor of 3 generations of Reikage. Boom! A loud bang. Yizan was kicked out by the 3rd-generation Reikage. Due to the high density and high precision effect of the spiral thrust, other ninjutsu cannot be used when using the spiral thrust. Fortunately, Yizan has practiced taijutsu for many years, plus the enhancement of the Sage mode. The 3rd-generation Reikage kick did not cause him any damage. What harm? 3 generations of Reikage 30 is stronger. Compared to World War II a few years ago, the current 3-generation Reikage is his strongest period. The technique of Hiraishin can easily harvest the lives of ordinary ninjas, but if the opponent is a top-level powerhouse and has strong defensive capabilities, the technique of Hiraishin can only guarantee undefeated, but not victory. And the 3rd generation of Reikage also understood this. He looked at Yizan coldly, his eyes full of ridicule. Why, the technique of Hiraishin is the result of your past few years. Oh, your strength has also improved a lot, but... So what? With your means, can you defeat me? Seriously, Yizan has never won the third-generation Reikage. During the several battles during World War II, he relied on the help of others, and in the only one-on-one duel, he also exchanged the injury and coma for the third-generation Reikage's right-hand fracture and lost. One piece. But today, hearing the other party's sarcastic tone, Yizan didn't feel angry at all. Since he dared to let Konoha and Kumogakure village fight, he has the confidence to win the third generation of Reikage. Ninjutsu can't win, but Yizan has taijutsu. Oh, you can't win with physique. It's just a joke. Yizan smiled wickedly. He just stared at the third generation Reikage like this. His eyes were full of strong malice. A strange icy aura of death caused the pupils of the third-generation Reikage to shrink sharply. His muscles were tense, and the Raiden Thunder-style armor on his body gradually turned into black thunder. At this moment, he has applied Raiden Thunder-style to Ultimate, but for some reason, he still feels a breath of death pouring into his body like a tide, and he even feels that his bones have problems. Is it a hallucination? Wrong. With my chakra impact, I won't hit demonic illusion at all. What's wrong? Third generation of Reikage frowned and thought, surrounded by the endless breath of death, he did not dare to attack and move at will, he could only concentrate on the defense. He knew that this kind of crisis that even he felt would die. If he didn't pay attention, he would definitely be attacked. There were endless screams of killing and ninjutsu explosions on the battlefield, but Yizan and the third generation of Reikage looked at each other like two statues. If the third generation of Reikage could see, he would find that a few seconds ago, a golden illusory box enveloped him, and the golden light invaded every cell in his body. Unfortunately, he couldn't see anything. 3 generations of Reikage, give me a face and die fast. Order, that Yizan quietly issued a few seconds ago. He has followed Might Dai to practice physical skills for so many years. His physical quality is no worse than that of Jonin. After turning on Sage mode, his physical strength has skyrocketed tenfold, so he has the guts to use the ability directly on the third generation Reikage. The third order face fruit consumes not only physical strength, but also mental power. Yizan is not afraid. His mental power is naturally 3 times higher than others. In addition to the tempering and natural growth during World War II, his mental power has grown to normal. 5 times as many people. Generation Reikage has strong strength and high anti-aging ability. Yizan's physical and mental strength is rapidly depleted. Gradually, Yizan felt tired, and the third generation of Reikage also felt that his body was getting weaker and weaker. It's not the weakness of illness and injury, but a kind of weakness, as if his energy is only so small, especially when he turns on the Black Raiden Thunder-style armor and goes all out. It's a heavy burden on an old man like him. The old man. I am not an old man. Third generation of Reikage didn't know why he had this idea, but he could only ignore this idea for a while. After all, he didn't understand at all that there was such a peculiar ability as the face fruit in this world. With the frantic use of the third order face fruit, Yizan became more and more tired. He bit Kiba tightly and persisted on this turbulent battlefield, watching the third generation of Reikage's hair continue to change color in a very slow manner. Speed, from grayish-yellow to pure white. At this moment, the cells on the body of the third generation Reikage 533 have been forcibly controlled by the fruit's ability to age, regardless of the skin or internal organs, and this effect is that the flesh on the third generation Reikage's face begins to relax, and deep wrinkles and nasolabial lines appear. At this moment, Yayoi kicked back Jiraiya with a punch, as if she felt something in her heart. She was distracted on the battlefield, and turned to look at the third generation Reikage who was fighting Yizan several kilometers away. It's amazing. Father. A roar of horror, Yayoi rough mind's voice spread throughout the entire battlefield, and the third generation of Reikage jumped in his heart, thinking that something had happened to his son, and immediately turned to look. Later, he discovered that Yayai's terrified expression was not panicked by danger, but as if he had seen something unbelievable, and his son's eyes were looking at him. What happened to I? Why is he calling me? What's his expression like? Is he looking at me? Panic. The breath of death was still around, and the third generation of Raikage's mood fell to the freezing point. Because of Yayui's roar just now, half of the battlefield focused their attention on himself, and he saw that everyone seemed to have seen a ghost. Everyone's eyes were full of surprise and shock. Why did they look at me like that? What's wrong with me? Chapter 309-Strong Collision. The battlefield stopped in a very strange situation. Quickly came to the third generation Raikage. He stared at Raikage in shock, his eyes were full of incredible. Father, how are you getting old? Old. Third generation of Raikage was puzzled, he didn't understand what Yayui meant. Come to a sweetened water style. Yayui beckoned, and after a while, a Kumogakur ninja who was good at sweetened water style came to Yayui and Raikage. Sweetened water style. Water mirror. Quote. This Kumogakur ninja hand sealed with both hands, and ripples suddenly appeared in the air, which then formed a mirror. What is this? When the third generation Raikage saw himself in the mirror, his eyes widened in shock. He saw an old man with white hair and a wrinkled face, but he is only 50 years old this year. As if thinking of something, he suddenly turned his head to look at Yizan in the distance, his eyes were shocked and mixed with a hint of anger. Shimura-gen, is that you? It's not me. I've been standing still, I've been wronged. Yizan spread his hands with a face full of injustice, and that serious expression made the third generation Raikage frown slightly. It's not you. It's not me. Yizan pouted aggrievedly. Although he used the fruit of face, he would never admit it. This ability is too strange, and it can no longer be explained by blood. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, no matter how suspicious it is, as long as he does not admit it, no one can do anything about him. The three generations of Raikage, who are old-fashioned, now look like an old man in his 70s or 80s, no. Not like. He really is an old man now. Since the third generation of Raikage's body is very strong, after Raikage has aged his cells for more than 20 years, he can't continue to use the fruit ability. Even so, the third-level fruit ability is enough to defy the sky. As cells age, they cannot sustain the strong thunder attribute chakra, their metabolism declines, their internal organs are even weaker, and their bones become more fragile. 3 generations of Raikage turned from middle-aged to old people. Although they are still cage level, their strength has plummeted and they have lost any threat. Retreat, or keep fighting. Speaking, the third generation of Raikage wants to retreat, at least to find out the reason for his aging, but kill. A loud shout, a Konoha Jonin holding a kunai pierced the heart of a Kumogakur Jonin. As if a bowl of oil was poured into the flames that were about to go out, at that moment, the entire battlefield erupted with earth-shattering screams. Boom! Yizan kicked the 3-generation Raikage into the air with a ruthless kick. Due to the excessive use of fruit power, Yizan's physical strength was consumed by 90%, and his mental power was almost exhausted. Chakra, no recovery. QB 9 Tails chakra recovery power needs to be restored with mental power. If the chakra in his body does not recover, it means that the mental power is about to be exhausted, and there is only the last mental power that is barely awake. Once the chakra is exhausted, you will fall into a coma. Jiraiya took Yayui Aila to the field thousands of meters away to continue the battle. The strength and aura of the two have climbed to the top. Once this kind of battle is advanced to the cage-level powerhouse first, whoever is the winner. Sarutobi fought the giant eight-tailed farther away, with Sarutobi relying on the golden hoops to gain a slight upper hand. Sage mode for the last time, and transformed the remaining chakras in his body into Sage Art chakras. Senpo, Sage Art. Futon, Wind Style, Mode, on. Boom. The hurricane of the strong wind blew the dust around. Yizan clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes burst into a strong fighting spirit. Without the infinitely replenished chakra, Yizan lost his greatest reliance, but for some reason, a touch of excitement rose in his heart. He wants to fight. In this kind of environment with no trump card and sinking the boat, it has inspired his competitive spirit to rise in adversity. Fight! Yizan shouted excitedly, stepped on his feet, turned into a blue light and rushed towards the third-generation Hokage, and although the third-generation Hokage was already weak, he still insisted on turning on the Raiden Thunder-style mode, and clenched his right fist tightly. The violent aura was like a liger, waving his arms and punching Yizan. Huh! Yizan bent down and avoided his fists. He twisted his waist with all his strength, and his body rotated along this twisting force. With the help of the power of rotation, his right foot formed a whip leg and swept away fiercely. Konoha Whirlwind. Boom! The tenfold power of the Sage mode hit the Raiden Thunder-style armor in an instant, knocking the armor into a depression. At the same time, several wind blades erupted from Yizan's toes, each of which had a level ninjutsu skills. Power, cut out a few cracks that are invisible to the naked eye. It's so strong. No, it's me who has become weaker. The pupils of the third-generation Hokage shrank sharply. Yizan lost his vitality for more than 20 years, but his thinking was the previous thinking. But there was a threat. Damn it! Why is this happening? Shimura-zan, you must have done it. Heavy flow of violence. Boom! The elbow containing the violent thunder hit the futon wind-style armor. The hurricane spun rapidly to digest the attack. Yizan's face changed slightly. You know, once his chakra is used up, he will be in a coma. Don't waste chakra like this. The art of Hiraishin. Huh. Yizan disappeared in an instant, letting the double attack of the third-generation Hokage be empty. He turned off the futon wind-style mode. Compared with the chakra that was hard to resist, the technique of Hiraishin was obviously much more cost-effective. The art of Hiraishin. Call out. A palpitating aura came from the blind spot behind him. The third-generation Hokage was already ready. He didn't even look at it. What a rogue space ninjutsu. Where is it? Left. Consciousness is faster than eyes, and the third-generation Hokage directly relies on his fighting instinct to strike Yizan again. It can only be said that it is worthy of the third generation of Hokage. In the case of old age and frailty, it still has such amazing speed and responsiveness. However, all this was calculated by Yizan. He suddenly increased the amount of chakra used, and instantly teleported 10 times in front of and behind the opponent. When the other party was dizzy and there was a short delay in judging, he finally issued his killer. Double the heart of the strong. Senpo, Sage Art. Futon, Wind Style. Spiral Thrusts. Chapter 310 _ The Death of 3 Generations of Hokage. Puff. A soft sound seemed insignificant on the battlefield. With Sage Art, blessed with double power spiral thrusts, easily penetrated the armor of 3 generations of Hokage, and pierced into his heart. After more than 20 years of life, his strength has never been enough. At the moment when Yizan pierced the heart of the 3rd generation Hokage, Yayoi, who was thousands of meters away, seemed to feel it. Father! Yayoi roared again, and at that moment, his breath increased several times. Seeing that Jiraiya was still pestering himself, he clenched his fists angrily and let out a huge roar. Restream burst. Needle Jizo. Boom. The violent force instantly shattered Jiraiya's hair, as if it was just a layer of paper, passed through the hair, and hit Jiraiya's heart. PFFT. Jiraiya vomited blood and flew out. His eyes widened in shock. He didn't expect Yayoi to be promoted to a cage-level powerhouse just now. Jiraiya was seriously injured. Originally this was the best time to kill Jiraiya, but Yayoi gave up the attack. He turned into a thunderbolt, and frantically killed Yi 543 Zan. At this moment, Yi Zan, who had used the spiral thorn, had almost run out of chakra. With only the last 10% of the Sage Art chakra, he was no match for the new cage-level Yayoi. At the last moment, he pulled his finger out of the heart of the 3rd Hokage. Due to the extremely terrifying tearing ability of the spiral thrust, the heart of the 3rd Hokage disappeared, leaving only a hole. Swish. Yizan used his last chakra to teleport a few kilometers again and moved directly to Sarutobi's side. His feet softened, he stumbled, and was supported by Sarutobi. Sarutobi switched the golden hoop to his other hand and smashed it hard. Smashed Yahweh's tentacles into the air. Xiaozan, how are you? I can't stand still, but... The third generation of Reikage, it's over. Due to the inexplicable aging of the previous 3 generations of Reikage, the ninjas on the surrounding battlefields all paid attention to the battle between Yizan and the 3 generations of Reikage. When the 3 generations of Reikage were pierced in the heart, the morale of the Konoha ninjas soared, but the ninjas of Kumogakure village appeared briefly absent and were killed by the Konoha ninjas. Leading. Heart shattered, a hole appeared in his heart, and the 3rd generation Reikage fell to the ground. Yiyai immediately rushed over and hugged the 3rd generation Reikage in his arms. Father. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Don't. Father. Why is this happening? Yui's words were incoherent, and his eyes were open to Yui. Although he was used to seeing life and death, and when he became a ninja, he didn't care about his own life or death, but now, he still can't accept the death of his relatives. The battlefield is still crazy. This is a war between 2 countries, not when it comes to sympathy. Konoha ninjas continue to suppress Kumogakure ninjas with this momentum, but there are also very few people who stop attacking. Master Reikage. Yahweh disappeared and turned into a teenager. He glanced at Yizan and Sarutobi angrily, and quickly rushed to Reikage, who was thousands of meters away. His eyes were full of sadness. Hey, I knew this earlier, why bother? We, Konoha, never wanted to fight. Yizan sighed lightly. The feud between him and the 3rd generation of Reikage can be traced back to 10 years ago, but they Konoha have always been the passive side. If possible, Yizan doesn't want war at all. Tenten lived a comfortable life in Konoha. Aren't you happier? But the Kingdom of Thunder is going to attack Konoha. In order to protect his homeland, Yizan must go to the battlefield and must kill 3 generations of Reikage. Only in this way can his homeland be defended and he can protect his beloved woman. The vitality of cage-level powerhouses is not guaranteed. Although the 3rd generation Reikage is sure to die, he still sighs and lies in Yui's arms. With all his strength, he turned his head little by little. This turning of his head finally consumed his last vitality. He silently looked at Yizan, who was thousands of meters away, with a bitter look in his eyes, and a touch of relief. Shimura-gen, if it's from our Kumogakure village, that would be great. 3rd generation of Reikage was killed in battle, the Kumogakure village was defeated, and Yui retreated with the body of the 3rd generation of Reikage. 1. Really 1. Thousands of Konoha ninjas cheered around Yizan, and a few daring elite jonin directly held Yizan and threw them into the sky. Yizan, who could not stand still, had no resistance. He could only be thrown into the sky pitifully by the crowd, caught, and thrown into the sky again. The cheers broke through the clouds and resounded through the sky. Tsunade Kushina and several girls stood on the outermost layer, and saw Yizan's helpless face being thrown into the sky by everyone. He couldn't help covering his mouth and snickering. And, the cheering stopped only when Sarutobi stopped, and when Yizan was thrown into the sky by the last few hands, everyone turned into birds and beasts, and they were caught off guard. When he hit the ground, the pain brought tears to his eyes. Who is it? Who are they? You bastards! Stand up for the last few. Don't let me catch you. Yizan was sad and angry, but at this moment Tsunade came over. His eyes lit up and he was about to say something, but Tsunade hugged him in his arms and patted his back lightly, as if to coax a child like, the tone is very gentle. Oh, the baby doesn't cry, it hurts when you fall. Come, let my sister knead it for you, oh, don't cry. Quote. Being surrounded by thousands of people, Yizan wanted to die. He had no strength and was hugged by Tsunade, unable to break free at all. Tsunade, you bastard, I'll tell you you're screwed. You're really screwed. When I get back to Konoha, I'll let you know how the word, husband, is written. Yizan's face was buried in Tsunade's murderous part, and Tsunade put his head close to Yizan's ear with a smile, and his voice was so small that only Yizan could hear it. He, don't just talk about it. If you have the ability, it will make me unable to go to the bunk, little tilde sex tilde ghost tilde. You, stinky woman, how dare you provoke me? Good, you remember it for me. If I don't make you unable to bunk, I will. What are you? I'll be a cat, humph. Chapter 311-Get a Shot. The village of Kumogakure was defeated, but did not announce its surrender. With Yayui's rude temper, it might really be desperate to avenge the third generation of Hokage. The Konoha Legion camped in place and would not relax their vigilance until the opponent announced their surrender. They were beaten too badly by the Kumogakure village. Although they relied on the last round to come back, Konoha still lost a lot more ninjas than the Kumogakure village. The front line of the Kingdom of Thunder was temporarily calm, but there was a major incident on the side of the Kingdom of Water. During World War II, because Yizan collapsed the economy of the Land of Water, the Land of Water was unable to send troops and did not participate in World War II. Although a lot of people were lost due to the sneak attack on Kumogakure village, the overall strength was not weakened too much. Compared to the more than 1,000 ninja army of Uchiha, Hyuga and some ordinary Konoha Jonin, the water country sent 6,000 people to beat Konoha into a dog. Fortunately, Uchiha and Hyuga are very powerful blood-stained families. The ordinary Jonin is used as the elite Jonin, and the elite Jonin is used as the top elite. The top elites such as Uchiha Ida and the Hyuga Patriarch are even more comparable to Zunying. What happened to the Land of Water? Big thing is that after Uchiha Ida was killed, the Hyuga Patriarch also died at the hands of the Kurigakure ninja. The Hyuga clan leader died in battle, and the 20-year-old Hyuga Hiyashi succeeded as the new clan chief. The younger generation did not have the spirit of, Konoha is in trouble and must be united, like the older generation. Uchiha Fugaku and Hyuga Hiyashi directly fought on the battlefield. In addition, the two tribes suffered heavy losses. Even with Kakuzu's help, Konoha ninjas lost their morale. One town after another was taken over by the Kurigakure ninjas. We must block Kurigakure village. My father promised. My father died, and the promise will naturally expire. If you don't send reinforcements, our side can only abandon all towns and return to Konoha village to defend. This is Uchiha Fugaku's letter, and Sarutobi's shameless attitude angered Sarutobi, but for Konoha, Sarutobi can only restrain his anger and prepare to send ninja reinforcements. Now the Kingdom of Thunder is silent, whether it is a war or a fall, it is not clear for the time being, but the third generation of Hokage has died, and our pressure has dropped a lot. Xiaoshuan, you lead the team to support Uchiha and Hyuga. Me, I'm not going to support them. Two idiot families, it's best if they die. Yizan put his hands on his hips with disdain on his face, but Yizan was the only one who had the strength to support the front of the Land of Water. Seeing that there were only Jiraiya and Tsunade in the conference room, Sarutobi finally disregarded his face with a bitter expression on his face. Xiaozan, our Konoha's smartest, handsomest, cutest, and most powerful Xiaozan, if you don't go, the battle of the water country will be over. You are the only one who can save them. You can do it, Dafa Mercy, help them. Sarutobi trotted to Yizan's side, handing him bananas and tea, then he picked up the pipe to wipe the mouthpiece clean, and handed the pipe in front of Yizan. A shot. Smoke wool. Don't you know that girls don't like boys smoking? And they will turn Kiba's teeth yellow. Dead monkey, did you do it on purpose? No. Xiaoshuan, how could I deliberately harass you? I'm just sharing good things with you. This good thing, cigarettes, can not only refresh the mind, but also. Shut up. Causing Sarutobi to shrink his neck in fright, and he wrinkled his face aggrieved, looking extremely pitiful. Xiaozan, over there in the Land of Water. Okay, I'll go. I can't stand it. Yizan agreed, and Sarutobi's face burst into a smile, but in order to prevent the Country of Thunder's revenge attack, Yizan decided to keep Tsunade and Kushina in the Country of Thunder. The two women are high-end combat power. Even if Yui leads the army Crazy Revenge, the two women can also play a big role. I'll take Conan and Makoto. I'm not worried about leaving them here. When will we leave? How many people will we take? Bring 800 people. If you can set off immediately after selecting people. The situation in the Land of Water is very miserable. If you can hurry up, hurry up. Yes. Sarutobi asked Yizan to reinforce the front of the Land of Water. At this moment, there were a few people standing in front of the fourth-generation Mizukage Yagura in the temporary residence of Kurigakure. Konoha ninjas are more tenacious. In order to reduce the losses of our ninjas, I give you a task. Yagura paused and said slowly, this mission is more dangerous for others, but for you, it shouldn't be difficult. I hope you will bypass the Konoha army, go deep into the hinterland of the Country of Fire, and hunt outside the Konoha ninja village. Killing Konoha ninjas, causing riots and panic, no problem. Quote. No problem. Biwa Juzo held the beheading knife with a carefree look that was very casual. Just the 5 of us. Tsukazan Fubuki and Ghost Lantern Full Moon won't come. Kurosuke Lei Kiba had a bad tone, obviously displeased with someone of the two. Recently, the shark muscle has started to lose his temper again. Tsukazan Fubuki is trying to appease the shark muscle, but he can't do the task. As for the ghost lamp Full Moon, Yagura thought about it, and finally decided to tell the truth. The ghost lamp Full Moon is too young, although he is a genius, but in the event of an accident going deep into the hinterland of the Fire Nation, it will be too worthless. Oh, according to what you mean, as long as the ghost lantern is worth the full moon, it doesn't matter if a few of us have an accident. Of course, the last sentence didn't come out, it just sounded in the hearts of 5 people at the same time. They don't dare to contradict Yagura. You must know that since Yagura came to power, Kurigakure village has undergone a very bloody rectification, whether it is the ninja exam or other things, all become very harsh and cruel. Biwajuzo, Kuriarer Kushimaru, Akabi no Jinin, Munashi Jinpachi, Kurosuke Rai Kiba, get the mission. The mission time limit is set to 3 months. After receiving the task, the 5 of them left the conference room. Yagura was tired from the recent war. He was just about to rest. In less than a minute, a middle-aged man walked into the conference room with a girl of about 13 years old. Mizukage-sama. Oh, it's you. What's the matter? I have nothing to do, but my daughter insists on seeing you and saying that she has something important to report to you. After the man finished speaking, Yagura looked at the girl beside the man. The girl had long brown curly hair and her right eye was covered by the long hair. Terumi May, tell me, what's so urgent? Chapter 312-Simple Terumi May. Terumi May was talking mainly about the Konoha reinforcements. The surrender of the Country of Wind has spread throughout the ninja world, and the collapse of the Kanabi Bridge, the lifeline of the Country of Earth, has also spread throughout the ninja world. Terumi May, your care is commendable. Since we in the Land of Water did not find reinforcements immediately, it proves that Shimura-zan's group is heading for the Land of Thunder. The 3rd generation of Reikage is currently the strongest person in the ninja world. I want to defeat it. The Country of Thunder. He. Don't worry, there is absolutely no problem with the Country of Thunder. But. Okay, Terumi May, you are still young, and although you are talented, you still have to learn from your father in this regard. Let's go. Yagura issued the order to evict the guests. He was really tired. He felt the need to take a good night's sleep. If it wasn't for the sake of Terumi May becoming a jonin at the age of 13, he didn't even want to say a word, let alone waste so much. The words disturbed my sleep. Even so, Yagura still doesn't feel much about Terumi May's talent. In his eyes, cage level is all ants, so what if the talent is high? There are many people with high talent, such as the current leader of the 7 ninja swordsmen Ghost Lantern Manu, whose talent is even higher than Terumi May. Who is the genius? Only those who survive are geniuses. And in Yagura's heart, the ghost lamp full moon has the secret technique of the ghost lamp family, Terumi Mei. Although she has a high talent, she has nothing. The survival rate and growth type of the two can be known at a glance. Yagura didn't know that Terumi Mei was a double-blooded ninja, all because of the concealment of the head of the family, Terumi Mei's father. He didn't allow Terumi Mei to use bloodstain, because since Yagura came to power, he found that Yagura hated bloodstained ninjas very much. If it wasn't for the bloodstain family needed for fighting now, Yagura might even do extreme things. Father, does Mizukage-sama really do such a thing? Maybe, maybe not, but from the current situation, the probability of occurrence is very high. Now some people are beginning to say that our village of Kurigakure is a village of blood fog. This is still a war. If there is no war, the bloodstain family may be suffering a round of cleaning, Mei, remember. Unless you are in a desperate situation, you must not expose blood. Got it. Yagura said that it was impossible for the Kingdom of Thunder to come to the reinforcements, so a week later, Yizan arrived with 800 ninjas. The feeling of being slapped in the faces really hurt, especially Terumi Mei's, I reminded you, look, which makes Yagura's face ashen, but it's not easy to reprimand a little girl. That bastard Rakage, what the hell are you doing? He clearly has an absolute advantage, so why did you let Shimura-san come over? Isn't this blocking me? Someone, send me a letter immediately, and I will condemn him. Yagura did what he said, wrote a letter expressing his dissatisfaction, and sent a communication ninja to the front of the country of thunder. He couldn't imagine that the person he wanted to condemn had already died in Yizan's hands. He just waved Terumi Mei back in annoyance, and then called all the top elites of the Water Kingdom, Jonin, to the conference room. Shimura-san is here. Bring 800 reinforcements. Ah, why is Shimura-yun here? Exclamation. Sukazan Fubuki immediately covered his mouth when he saw Yagura's dissatisfied gaze, but there was already a strong fear in his heart. In the Five-Nation joint examination that year, he sneaked into Yizan's hotel room and stole the shark muscle. Even so, the shark muscle often lost his temper over the years, and when he lost his temper, he stabbed his hand with a barb. Only a very few people know about Sukazan Fubuki, and it just so happens that all the top elites in the village of Kurigakure are present, and they all belong to that very few people. Sukazan Fubuki, you were so frightened by Shimura-san that you lost your weapon. Now you hear your name and you are so scared. I think you should cry and go back to your mother. Ha 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 ha, find your mother. Patriarch Kagaya laughed loudly, and Sukazan Fubuki dared not to speak out because of his bastard appearance. Even though he is one of the 7 members of Ninja Swordsmen, his strength is really not comparable to Patriarch Kagaya, and he was born as a commoner. The ninja, no one is powerless, dare not provoke the Kagaya clan. Kagaya-zan Kwang, you should say a few words less. Shimura-zan was a monster during World War II, and Sukazan Fubuki's performance is also normal, the second generation of Mizukage and the head of the 7 people of the Ninja Sword Ghost Moon. Didn't they all die because of Shimura-gen? Shui Wuyu Qingzi, what did you just say? Say it again. A cold and stern voice suddenly sounded, and a boy of about 12 years old was full of killing intent. He was closer to Yagura than Sukazan Fubuki in the conference room. From his shark-like kiba teeth, it could be seen that he belonged to the Ghost Lantern family. Ghost Lamp Full Moon, when your mother named you the right name, proud and complacent. When the water is full, it overflows. I want to teach you a lesson for a long time. Hee hee, don't just talk and do it, you're going to do it. The Ghost Lamp Full Moon sneered, and suddenly, the atmosphere in the conference room became solemn. No one spoke, all the elites were Schadenfreude, and in the entire conference room, only Terumi Mei and the head of the family sitting in the far corner saw that Yagura's complexion had changed. It was a kind of killing intent, a killing intent that was forcibly endured, especially when he looked at Shui Wuyu Qingzi, perhaps remembering that he was fighting now, he immediately lowered his head and hid the killing intent. Father. Shish, do and talk. According to the patriarch's gesture of silence, as a medium-sized family with no bloodstains, he did not want to be involved in any battles. Terumi Mei is just a little girl who has just entered Jonin. Although she has some wisdom, when faced with this situation, she can only listen to her father's words. Seeing the increasingly tense atmosphere on the field, for some reason, a burst of courage came to her heart. She suddenly stood up and walked to the center of the conference room under everyone's astonished eyes. Seniors, my name is Terumi Mei. Today, 0.2 is honored to follow my father to participate in the meeting. My strength and wisdom are not worth mentioning in the eyes of the seniors, but now that the reinforcements from Konoha have arrived, and there are powerful enemies like Shimura-san, now when it's not a quarrel, everyone, can we discuss the enemy first? 13-year-old Terumi Mei is naive and innocent. For the sake of Kurigakure village, she fought back her fear and spoke out. However, she did not expect that when she said what she said from the bottom of her heart, the patriarchs of several major bloodstained families showed disdainful expressions. Little girl, don't think that you have read a few more books and learned some knowledge on paper. Just fill your head here. What is a strong enemy like Shimura-san? Do you know Shimura-san? Do you know how strong he is? On paper, go back. Chapter 313 Hugahiyashi's Careful Thoughts. Terumi Mei is aggrieved. Being ridiculed by the patriarchs of several blood-stained families, her innocent and young heart was hurt. She returned to her father, pouted, her beautiful big eyes flashing with tears, and together, she hated Yi-san. Damn Shimura-san, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be scolded. It's all your fault. Don't let me see you on the battlefield. She clenched her fists angrily, completely forgetting the difference in strength between herself and Yi-san. Little girl, once she gets angry, she doesn't care about anything. Bloodstained patriarchs taunted Terumi Mei for a while, and really focused their attention on the meeting. The purpose of Yagura's summoning them was to deal with the Konoha reinforcements. If they continued to quarrel like this meeting would not need to be opened. At this moment, a Kurigakure Anbu suddenly rushed into the conference room, knelt down on one knee, and said in a panicked tone, Mizukage-sama, the Konoha army is attacking. What? How is that possible? With only 30,000 Konoha ninjas, dare to take the initiative to attack. The patriarchs of the bloodstained clan widened their eyes in surprise. You must know that there are 6,000 people here. Sure enough, it's because of Shimura-san. This monster has a good rhythm. Yagura frowned tightly, his eyes dignified. He had only been in the position in recent years. He had never seen Yi-san, and he had never fought against Yi-san, but Konoha dared to take the initiative to attack with such a ninja, which means that Yi-san is in Konoha ninja has a high reputation, and it is the spiritual branch of Konoha ninja Jinchuriki column. I can't let Shimura take the rhythm. Go out and fight. Just him. I still don't believe that I can fight against our army of 6,000. Yagura stood up suddenly, the cage-level aura spread out, and the faces of several blood-stained patriarchs in the conference room were slightly condensed. The strongest among them was the Shui Wuyu patriarch Shui Wuyu blue-purple level, but under the momentum of Yagura, it can't provoke any resistance at all. 6,000 Kurigakure quickly rushed out of the camp tent to gather. Seeing that all the people were gathered, Yagura waved abruptly and walked towards Konoha with the army. At this moment, in the Konoha Corps, Konoha army, which suffered heavy losses, was finally replenished to 2,000. But compared to the 6,000 people in Kurigakure village, this gap is quite large. Yi-san took Makoto and Konan at the front. Kakuzu deliberately trailed half a body to show respect to Yi-san. Uchiha Fugaku and Hyuga Hiyashi were behind Kakuzu, and behind them, there were 2,000 Konoha troops. The Konoha Legion is powerful, but if you look closely, you can find that there are some inexplicable strangeness in the Legion. Uchiha Fugaku's forehead was covered with a bandage, and his left cheek was swollen. He looked at Yi-san in front of him with hatred in his eyes. Yi-san came to support and asked the Konoha army to take the initiative to attack. He refused to accept the order, and then was directly beaten by Yi-san. Next to him glanced at Fugaku lightly, with pure white pupils showing no emotion, but a trace of disdain at the corners of his mouth. Short-sighted, narrow-minded, and fighting against Shimura-san is simply courting death. Hyuga Hiyashi thought. The disdain on the corner of his mouth became stronger and stronger. A genius like Shimura-san is comparable to the first Hokage in terms of strength and intelligence, and with the support of the 4 top executives, he will definitely be the actual ruler of Konoha in the future. Unfortunately, Shimura-san is about the same age as me. If possible, I really want to have one. Daughter, marry your daughter to him. Thinking of this, Hyuga Hiyashi had an epiphany, and a strong desire emerged in his heart. He is 20 years old this year, and he was not in a hurry to get married, but because of the sudden thoughts in his heart just now, he decided that as soon as the war was over, he would immediately marry a wife and have a baby. If he was lucky enough to have a daughter, then. As if feeling Hyuga Hiyashi's intense gaze, Yi-san looked back and scratched his head in confusion. Hiyashi, what's wrong? Oh, it's nothing. I just. Hyuga Hiyashi paused, not knowing what to say. Could it be that I'm going to give birth to a daughter as soon as possible to betroth to you? For the time being, let's not talk about whether I can give birth to a daughter. What if my daughter is ugly? So he shut up in the end. All the Konoha Jonin circles know that Yi-san is a lustful little villain. As long as he keeps his daughter nice and cute, are you afraid that the other party won't take the bait? Cough cough. Can't use the word, hooked. Hiyashi means that he is very optimistic about Yi-san, and hopes to turn Yi-san into a friend of the Hyuga family. Even if he encounters something in the future, he can talk. Hyuga Hiyashi was playing with his own abacus, and at this moment, in a certain town in the Land of Fire, Kurigakure ninjas poured out of the town. The ninja army on both sides stopped when they were 1,000 meters away. Yi-san looked up at the sign at the entrance of the town, and found that the name of the town that he was very familiar with was written on the sign. Short Book Street. This is actually Short Book Street. Yeah, Lord Zan, this is the most famous entertainment town in the country of fire. Unfortunately it was occupied by Kurigakure. Hyuga Hiyashi walked to Yi-zan's side from behind, since he decided to regard Yi-zan as the future ally of the Hyuga family. Jinchuriki column. He immediately began to get close to Yi-zan, at least before his daughter grew up, to make the relationship between the two families better. The villages of Kurigakure and Iwagakure behave the same way. Although they occupied many towns in Konoha, they did not destroy the towns along the way, and they even paid for meals. Well, of course, these civilians don't dare to ask for money from enemy ninjas. It's not for any reason. Every time they pay, these Kurigakure ninjas are holding kunai around their fingers. Although the high-level orders must be followed, there are policies. There is a countermeasure. But seriously, I heard that there are all kinds of gambling in the Short Book Street. Playing cards, playing dice, playing the big wheel. I remember there are slot machines, right? Yes, Master Zan, not only these, but also one-stop services provided in Short Book Street. When rich businessmen come here, they will bet all afternoon in the most high-end casinos. Regardless of whether they win or lose, they will have a sumptuous meal in the evening. Seafood feast. Each casino here has its own exclusive hotel in Uenizumi. After dinner, you can go to Uenizumi, as long as you can afford the money. Any type of girl can provide it. Quote. Hiyashi, I can't see it. You are still an old driver. How about you? Take me to play in the future. Brother Zan. Oh sorry Makoto, I was just joking with Hiyashi. Hiyashi. How can you lure me to a place like this? I'm Masato, Kunzi. Hyuga Hiyashi. Chapter 314 Terumi May playing sneak attack. In the Konoha Core, Yi-zan commented on the Short Book Street from time to time, and from time to time quietly asked Hiyashi about the gameplay, but every time he was heard by Makoto even teamed up with Conan to make Yi-zan give up this kind of bad idea. Yi-zan didn't know that his careless attitude made Yagura, who was thousands of meters away, at the town entrance of Short Book Street, with a pale face. Disrespect. Shimura-zan disrespects me too much. This is a battlefield. This is a war. This is an insult to me. Yagura squeezed his fist tightly, the chakra rioted, and the cage-level murderous aura burst out. The violent breath finally attracted Yizan. He turned his head to look, and found that Yagura was standing in front of Kurigakure, with a small size like a child. As if he had discovered something shocking, Yizan exclaimed exaggeratedly, staggering back a step, with strong surprise in his eyes. Wow, who is that little dwarf? What a powerful aura, so short. Brother Zan, you've overdone your performance. Ah, really? Cough. Then so. Yizan coughed lightly, then slowed down, looked at Yagura, scratched his head in doubt. Who is that kid on the opposite side? Yizan's giggling look made Yagura's face get colder and colder. Although he looks short, his actual age is older than Yizan. The most unbearable thing in his life is that people call him short, and no one is allowed to call him a child. But now, in front of thousands of people, his fourth-generation Mizukage was actually mocked by Yizan. That moment, Yagura only felt an indescribable anger burst through his head, and the violent chakra leaked out, shattering the surrounding earthquake. Shimura-zan, you are courting death. Kill. Unable to bear it. No need to bear it any longer, Yagura shouted, and 6,000 Kurigakure ninjas rushed towards Konoha like a tide. The sky is full of kunai. Kunai is tied with a detonating talisman, and a large number of taijutsu ninjas are the first to charge. Large number of Kurigakure ninjas used Suiten, water-style, ninjutsu together. Dozens of people use them at the same time, forming a vast ocean hundreds of meters wide. The Uchiha people also gathered together and used Kaiden, fire-style, ninjutsu to resist the tsunami. Attack! Call out! Call out! Call out! Yizan's figure flew across the endless wilderness outside the town, and no one could see his trajectory clearly, because he had no trajectory at all. Shoo! A streak of blood spurted out, and the outside of Yizan's right palm shone with cyan light. He used the technique of Hiraishin to teleport on the battlefield without interruption. Every time he teleported to the enemy's blind spot, he wiped the enemy's neck with his palm. With Yizan's control over futon wind style, the cyan futon wind style is no weaker than a grade ninjutsu, and this high-density cutting produces even better destructive power. There are only less than 2,000 people in Konoha and 6,000 in the Land of Water. Yizan knows that the gap between the numbers is too big. Even if he defeats Yagura, Kurigakure will continue to attack. Futon, wind style. Oppression. Raiden, thunder style. False darkness. Kaiden, fire style. Head hard. Doden, earth style. Earth dragon bullet. Suiten, water style. Great waterfall technique. Rumbling. The ninjutsu of the 5 attributes flocked to Yagura in an instant. Especially the Suiten, water style. Kakuzu captured the water attribute heart of the first 3 generations of Mizukage, and with this heart alone, he showed the strength of the quasi-shadow. Plus 4 other elite Jonin's heart monsters, with Kakuzu cage level chakra and super combat experience, it's easy to entangle Yagura. Yagura was entangled by Kakuzu, which was the plan made by Konoha from the beginning, and Yizan, who possessed the technique of Hiraishin, began to harvest wildly on the battlefield. Teleport, shoot, an average of 2 seconds, you can kill a Kurigakure ninja. Of course, among them, there are also some super fast physique Jonin that can avoid Yizan's attack, and the Ghost Lamp family, because of their hydration properties, they will not die if they are attacked by Yizan. Genin, Chunin, Jonin, Elite Jonin, Yizan's random attack targets. As long as he can see, there will be Kurigakure ninjas dying. Makoto and Konan also follow the Konoha army to attack the enemy. Both women are at the level of the elite Jonin, and they are the backbone of the battlefield. However, facing 3 times the number of enemies, the 2 women encounter danger from time to time, and every time they encounter a fatal threat, Yizan will appear in an instant to protect the safety of the 2 girls. And all of this was seen by Terumi Mei. Since Terumi Mei is only 13 years old and has not grown up, her petite, small stature is inconspicuous in the chaos of the battlefield. She stared closely at Makoto and Konan in the middle and rear of Konoha, her long brown hair flying in the wind. Are those two women Shimura-zan's wives? Every time they are in danger, Shimura-zan will go back to save them. If I... Terumi-mei pursed her lips, as if she had made a decision, and waved Kunin, who was attacking Chunin in front of her. She stared at Konan like this. Compared to Makoto of the Uchiha clan, this girl who uses paper seems to be easier to attack. The chaotic battlefield, colorful ninjutsu and roaring, Terumi-mei quickly shuttled across the battlefield, and after a few minutes, she came 10 meters behind Konan, and her eyes finally poured out a strong belief. For the land of water, everything is worth it. Thinking of this, she suddenly burst into chakra. The ordinary Jonin's breath instantly aroused Konan's alert. She quickly rushed to Konan, and when she was 3 meters away from Konan, she suddenly paused and opened her mouth. Yoden, lava style. The art of dissolving monsters. Quote. Huh. Brown mist quickly rushed towards Konan, and the mist contained extremely strong corrosiveness. This was the first time Terumi-mei was exposed to blood. She knew that doing so would lead to Mizukage's killing intent. After all, her father had told him that Lord Mizukage would always clean up the blood-stained ninjas. However, for the water country, it's all worth it. The brown mist surrounded Konan, and the strong corrosive power instantly destroyed the paper shield around Konan. Konan's complexion changed greatly. Only at this moment did she realize that this seemingly ordinary mist had such terrifying power. Kekkei Genkei. Oops. Seeing that the corrosive mist was about to touch her body, Konan closed her eyes in despair, but the next second, she suddenly felt herself in a warm embrace, and a familiar voice came from her ear. Give me a face, the fog dissipates. Whoa. Under Terumi-mei's shocked gaze, Yoden lava style, which he used with all his might, disappeared without a trace. Chapter 315 _ killing takes seconds. Boom. Sound. Yizan's hand knife accurately slashed Terumi-mei's neck, but this time, Yizan's hand didn't have any chakra, just a blow to stun Terumi-mei. She is my captive, and no one is allowed to touch her without my order. You two, take her back. Yizan's strength was deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. No matter how unreasonable the request was, the Konoha ninja did not dare to refuse. The two Chunin, who had been ordered by Yizan, nodded immediately, and with Terumi-mei on their backs, they retreated towards the temporary Konoha station a few kilometers away. Teacher. Konan was still held in Yizan's arms. She grabbed Yizan's clothes like a kitten. Her eyes were a little resentful. Teacher, what do you think about the girl just now? Konan, don't talk nonsense. She's a Kurigakure ninja. Where did I get the idea? Humph. But she almost killed me. You're just knocking out someone else. Teacher, you must have a plan, you bastard. Konan pouted in grievance. Yizan rolled his eyes and kissed Konan's face immediately, and the two flirted on the battlefield like this, as if it were a tourist resort. Brother Zan, you seduce girls again. Makoto, who was not far away, repelled an enemy and retreated. Her eyes were even more resentful. She lost 840 to Tsunade and Kushina, but she didn't expect a new one to come. Oops, Makoto, don't think too much. That girl is a genius girl from Kurigakure village, a genius who can use 2 bloodstains. I have absolutely no other idea. You swear. I almost forgot, there's a war going on. I'm going to support them. Yizan rubbed the back of his head and smirked a few times, and instantly disappeared using the Hiraishin technique. Makoto and Konan looked at each other on the spot, and a feeling of sympathy emerged spontaneously. The teacher is getting worse and worse. Brother Zan is a big bad guy. I'm angry. Yizan had no idea that his act of knocking Terumi-mei stunned made the two girls unhappy. At this moment, he was raging on the battlefield again. The unsolvable Hiraishin technique, infinite chakra, no one belonged to Yizan. The opponent can't even stop one move. Until... Boom. With a loud noise, countless bones held Yizan's palm. The blue-colored futon wind style made a tearing sound of caskets, but the density of those bones was extremely hard, and Yizan was comparable to an 8th-grade ninjutsu palm knife, and could not be shattered at all. Shimura Gen. Really strong. Kill. Fight. Don't die. Let me enjoy this fight. Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse. Dance of the Camellia. Shish. The bone knife attacked Yizan at a speed of more than 10 times per second. Yizan ducked left and right. His physical skills were not weak, and this attack could not cause damage to him. Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse. Dance of the Clematis. Flower. Whoa. A long bone whip swung over, trying to tie Yizan. Yizan frowned slightly. He didn't know the name of the person in front of him, but he was able to awaken Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse, which should be regarded as the strong man of the Kagaya clan. The reason for his frowning wasn't anything. He just felt that Jonin, the mere top elite, was so arrogant. He actually said, "Let him not die." Are you joking? Yizan wanted to ask a question very much, but seeing that Konoha was besieged by 6,000 enemies, and there were casualties every second, he really didn't want to waste time. Hiraishin's technique flashed, and he came behind the Kagaya man in an instant. Futon, wind style. Spiral thrust. Puff. Fingers easily smashed the protruding defensive bones, and instantly penetrated the heart of the strong Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse. Yizan did not stop. His figure flashed, and he waved his right hand, cutting a Chunin's neck. In Yizan's eyes, the Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse, man he just killed was just a slightly stronger scum, but the surrounding ninjas from the land of water saw the Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse, man dead. They were too shocked to speak. Come. The Kagaya Patriarch is dead. Killed by Shimura Genyu. Inexplicably, this news spread on the battlefield. You must know that the Kagaya Patriarch is the third strongest after the 4th generation Mizukage and the Shui Wuyu Patriarch Shui Wuyu Qingzi, but now, Shimura-zan has killed him. Information dissemination. Continuous dissemination. When Shui Wuyu Qingzi heard the news, her face changed greatly. You must know that before she was promoted to the Quasi-Shadow, there was no difference in the strength between her and Kagaya Patriarch. Just when she was shocked, suddenly, a danger bloomed from her neck. The breath of death made her tremble all over, but her super ninja qualities made her instinctively tilt her head, and a few strands of long hair fluttered in the wind. Shimura Gen. Shui Wuyu's blue and purple faces dignified. What should come will always come. This terrifying guy finally found himself. Yo, hello, you did a good job of hiding just now, and your strength is also good. Yizan slapped his mouth. He was a quasi-cage level, and the other party was a quasi-cage level. It was not easy to kill the opponent instantly. At this moment, Shui Wuyu Qingzi didn't want to waste time at all. She instantly lifted all the chakras and burst out, turning the surrounding area of tens of meters into a world of ice and snow. Hyoten, ice style, mystery. Demonic mirroring ice crystals. A large number of ice mirrors shrouded Yizan, but Yizan still stood in the same place and did not move. Shui Wuyu blue and purple sneered. You must know that this move is one of the 4 secrets of Shui Wuyu, and the easy end is. Swish. Sound, 500 meters away. Yizan once again ended the life of a Kurigakur Jonin. He looked back at Shui Wuyu blue-purple, who was stunned in place, scratched his head, his face shy. I'm sorry, I'm used to it, wait for me to come back tilde. Swish. With another soft sound, Yizan used the Hiraishin technique to return to the demonic mirroring ice crystals, and found Shui Wuyu's blue and purple angry eyes. He blinked innocently. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to look down on you. Hiraishin has been used a lot these days, and sometimes I can't help but want to make up for the knife. After all, one move is one, and the rhythm is very comfortable. Bastard. Hyoten, ice style, secret art. Ningxie secret realm. Shui Wuyu blue-purple was furious, suddenly hand seal, and unleashed her strongest attack. At that moment, the ice mirror surrounding Yizan exuded an extremely terrifying cold. Yizan was surprised to find that this cold directly ignored the protection of chakra, penetrated blood, and froze his own blood. As expected of Shui Wuyu, the strongest Hyoten, ice style, secret technique that ignores defense, amazing. Chapter 316 Poor Ghost Lanterns. Yizan looked at Shui Wuyu's blue purple with admiration on his face, and in the other party's arrogant eyes, he gently spat out a few words. Give me a face, keep the 50-meter area around me at 30 degrees Celsius. A burst of golden light spread, covering the 50-meter area around Yizan. In an instant, the cold dissipated, and the blood that was about to solidify began to flow. How is it possible? The temperature was getting warmer, and even Shui Wuyu was blue and purple. She widened her eyes in shock and couldn't figure out how her strongest Hyoten, ice-style, secret technique had been cracked. At this time, Yizan looked at Shui Wuyu blue and purple with a simple and honest face, with a smile on his face, as if he had just played a game of mahjong, and he seemed very relaxed. It's almost there, you don't have any stronger moves, why don't you just end it like this? Yizan's laughing words made Shui Wuyu's blue and purple pupils shrink sharply. What else did she want to say? Suddenly, Yizan disappeared. The next moment, she felt a pain in her neck and gradually lost consciousness. After killing Shui Wuyu Qingzi, there will be fewer strongmen in the country of water, and since the start of the war, Yizan has killed more than 1,000 people. The morale of the country of water began to collapse, and the Konoha army gradually appeared counter-pressure. Don't kill randomly, let's aim one by one. Mizuka Yagura stays at the end, except for him, let me see. Yizan raised his head and swept around, constantly glanced, and finally fixed his eyes on a battle circle more than 2,000 meters away. Double knife flounder, a very familiar weapon. I think that when I was deeply encircled by the land of water, I was tortured by Ghost Lantern Yaoyu's double knife flounder. If Tsunade hadn't come to save me, I would have been on the memorial tablet. The names are a bit vague, right? Huh, it's so small. Yizan looked at the ghost lamp full moon holding a flounder. He looked about 11 or 12 years old, and his strength was Jonin. There were several elite Jonins around, and it was obvious that he was deliberately protecting the ghost lamp full moon. A new generation of geniuses from the ghost lamp clan. Hey, let's just sec. Yizan sighed lightly, his figure flashed, and he instantly appeared behind Ghost Lantern Manu. His right hand glowed with blue light, and one palm cut off Ghost Landman Moon's head. However, whoa! A splash of water sounded, Ghost Lantern Manu's head grew out again, and the head that had been cut off before fell to the ground and turned into a pool of water. Yizan's attack had no warning. When the ghost lamp full moon used the hydration technique to grow his head, he only reacted. Several elites of the ghost lamp family, Jonin, stared at Yizan with solemn faces. They didn't expect that this terrifying the guy will eventually shoot at the ghost lamp clan. Shimura-zan, you don't attack other ninjas, why are you attacking us? Your attack is ineffective against our ghost lamp clan, you. What? You look down on me. Yizan interrupted the other party's words, widening his eyes in disbelief. What do you mean by this? It's not valid for the ghost lamp family, are you looking down on me? Still look down on me. Facing the terrifying guy Yizan, the ghost lamp elite Jonin seemed to have burnt out his brain and nodded stupidly. Not only that, he raised his chin proudly and squinted, with a look of, I just look down on it, you're like. Uncle Third, what are you doing? Are you crazy? This elite Jonin has a showy head, but the ghost lamp full moon beside him is about to collapse, and his third uncle actually mocks Shimura-zan. Shit, how many of us are really enough to kill him? Speaking of which, Ghost Lantern Manu knew that everything was irreconcilable. He held the flounder with double knives nervously, chakra poured in frantically, and the holes in the flounder knife began to breathe, and he was directly turned on by him as semi-liberated. Condition. Ghost Lantern Manu is extremely talented. He can use 7 knives proficiently at a young age. Relying on his talent and family power, he can walk sideways in the land of water, but now it's a battlefield, and he's still facing Konoha's ace god. Although the ghost lamp full moon is small, he knows when to act coercive and when not to, but with a single word from his third uncle, he instantly forced himself to act like he shouldn't. Sage mode, on. Yizan didn't want to talk anymore. He puffed out his face angrily, slapped his hands suddenly, and a few Yui-colored lines appeared on his face. Dare to mess with me? Humph! How dare you look down on me? You bastards, I'll let you know why Huar is like Yui. Yizan pouted angrily. The golden force field continued to spread, spreading tens of thousands of meters, covering the entire battlefield in it. Give me a face. The Ghost Lamp clan cannot use the hydration technique. The ability that Yizan uses is not the second-order control element, but the third-order ability to control matter. The second order can only control natural elements. Although the hydration technique is also a water element, it has changed from elements to substances because of the specific people of the Ghost Lamp family. This is why Yizan directly used the third order. The second level cannot target individuals, but can only target elements. Compared with prohibiting the use of water elements in the entire battlefield, the consumption of specific selection of individuals will be much smaller. The third order ability of the face fruit was fully exerted. A golden force field covering the entire battlefield continued to release illusory light, and the light entered the bodies of all the people of the Ghost Lamp family. Swish! The technique of Hiraishin ripped apart the space and appeared behind Uncle San, in an instant. He waved his hand violently and crossed the opponent's neck with lightning speed. Puff! The blood burst into the air, spraying 5 meters into the sky. His head just fell to the ground, and his eyes were full of shock and surprise. Uncle San. The Ghost Lamp full moon was furious. After the fury, there was endless fear. He couldn't figure it out. The third uncle, who was much stronger than himself, didn't even need the hydration technique, so he was killed by Yizan like this. Ghost Lamp Manu didn't know that the moment Yizan cut open the third uncle with a knife, the golden light that penetrated into the third uncle's body forced the hydration technique to solidify, and the third uncle was very confident in the hydration technique. At that time, there was no chance of escape. More than 10 seconds after the third uncle died, a large number of ninjas from the Ghost Lantern clan died. Because of the power of the hydration technique, the fighting style of the Ghost Lamp clan is to go forward without any defense, which also leads to, within a dozen seconds, the Ghost Lamp ninja one after another was killed by kunai and ninjutsu. Ghost Lantern Full Moon, it's your turn. Chapter 317 _ So arrogant. The chaotic battlefield continues, and there are only 4,000 ninjas left in the land of 6,000 water. However, Konoha's side is also miserable. After Yizan's support, there were a total of 1,800 Konoha ninjas, and now there are only more than 700 people left. After all, every ninja faces a siege of 2 to 3 people. If Yizan hadn't killed the quartet on the battlefield, Konoha would have collapsed long ago. Yizan shuttled on the battlefield, but if you look carefully, you can find that there seems to be any difference. Boom! Boom! Rumbling. Every 3 seconds, there will be an earth-shattering explosion on the battlefield. Yizan is holding a double knife flounder, and he is actually liberating the flounder without limit. The technique of Hiraishin flashed on the head of Jonin, an elite of the Land of Water. Yizan held the flounder high and smashed it down. Boom! There was another big explosion, and the surrounding tens of meters of land turned into powder, and Yizan, who had unlimited chakra, was so savage, rude, and unscrupulous to liberate the flounder. Damn it! It's savage. It's domineering. It's so handsome. Lord Zan, it's so handsome. The Konoha ninjas were full of admiration, and some fans were shaking with excitement. This kind of rough and savage feeling is too domineering. Simply handsome. My big sword is already hungry, thirsty. You scumbags, can't you hold the 3 swords of this barbarian king? Yizan carried the flounder on his shoulders and held his head arrogantly, as if he could handle the day. Master Zan, stop posing, kill the enemy quickly, everyone is miserable. Hyuga Hiyashi happened to be beside Yizan, he said carefully, and Yizan's face suddenly turned cold. I'm sorry, Lord Zan. I'm joking. You can do whatever you want. We Konoha, it's fine. Hyuga Hiyashi only felt that his heart was about to jump out, but Yizan was not angry, but gave Hiyashi a meaningful look, as if pity yes, with a slight sigh. Hiyashi, your emotional intelligence needs to be improved. Remember, no matter what happens, when the leader is in a good mood, don't interrupt, understand? Understood O_O. In order to make a good impression in front of the leader of Zon, Hiyashi looks like a good baby and can't tell that he is a person with an old-fashioned personality. It can only be said that Yizan's charm is too great. Okay, Hiyashi, you go on. Where's Hizashi? I'm fighting the second elder Shui Wuyu over there. Oops. He's injured. I'm going to help him. Hiyashi's face is full of tension. Hizashi is his brother. Although the younger brother was engraved with a caged bird because of the ancient system of the Hyuga family, the relationship between the two brothers has never changed. When Hiyashi left, there was a large circle around Yizan. Konoha ninjas were desperate, Kurigakure ninjas. No one dared to approach Yizan. At this time, Kurigakure's morale has almost dropped, and several strong people were killed by Yizan. If it wasn't for the fourth generation of Mizukage Yagura, the country of water would have collapsed. So, now it's finally your turn. Yizan looked at Yagura from a distance. The 2,000-meter range around Yagura was not an open space, but a huge ocean. On the ocean, only Kakuzu and Yagura were fighting. Sweden, water style. Asada Falls. Quote. Boom. Earthquake was accompanied by the tsunami, and Yagura relied on the power of the three-tailed Jinchuriki column. Yagura wasted chakra without hesitation, and every ninjutsu has an extremely powerful power. Sweden, water style. Isoda Iron Cannonball. Boom. With a loud bang, the fire attribute mask monster was smashed into pieces. On the sea, Kakuzu retreated 100 meters with a solemn face. Although he has cage-level chakra and superb fighting experience, Yagura is too lazy. Relying on the three-tailed chakra, he continues to use powerful and wide-ranging ninjutsu, and finally just now, the fire-type mask monster died. HMPH. Konoha Kakuzu, I've seen through your abilities completely. If you're like this, I think it's time to end the battle. Yagura sneered, the tailed beast coat gradually emerging from her body. It is indeed time to end the battle. Although I lost a fire attribute heart, my mission has been completed. Kakuzu's face was calm and his voice was calm. He raised his chin slightly and looked into the distance, as if he was waiting for something. Huh. Kakuzu's movements made Yagura puzzled. He followed Kakuzu's gaze and looked back into the distance. Except for some fighting ninjas, there was nothing. And then, he felt an aura of extreme crisis descending from the sky, and even he, a cage-level powerhouse wearing a tail beast coat, felt the aura of fear. Boom. The 100-meter ocean exploded, and a huge hammer made of chakra hit Yagura. Boom. Bang. The ocean is constantly bursting. If you stand in the distance, you can find that this ocean has stirred up huge waves dozens of meters high, spreading overwhelmingly in all directions. Tisk tisk tisk, Kakuzu, you're actually deceiving people now, attracting Yagura to look into the distance. You're so bad. Yizan carried the flounder, and stood on the water carelessly. Kakuzu gave Yizan a faint glance, and his voice was still calm. Soldiers never tire of deceit. Fighting depends on strength, but skills are also very important. Not everyone is so savage and can squander chakra at will. He said lightly, but Yizan pouted in disgust. He could totally hear that Kakuzu was blackmailing himself. You are saying that you are savage. Kakuzu, you learn to complain. It's not a joke, it's a fact. You're really making fun of me. And you're blacking me. Well, let's just. Kakuzu was still indifferent, but that indifference made Yizan mad. He didn't understand at all, when did Kakuzu become a poisonous tongue? To actually mock yourself so openly. Oh, I'll just say it. That's it. As if 0.9 had understood something, Yizan had an expression of sudden realization on his face. It seems that after you go back, you will have to cancel your position as Minister of Finance and have been with the dead monkey for a long time. Well, learn so badly. I was discovered by you. Humph, I'm a genius. A born fool. Hee, Kakuzu, when the war is over, I think it's necessary to teach you something, and dead monkeys, hee. Yizan was standing on the water carrying the flounder, and he complained to Kakuzu like this. Under the water, a terrifying breath suddenly burst out, setting off a stormy sea in an instant. Yo, the three tails were beaten out tilde. What you type, you solve it yourself. Kakuzu, if you do this again, believe it or not I'll beat you. Chapter 318-run. The big devil is here. The three tails are beaten out, and they are not the real body of the three tails. Yagura can become Mizukage, in addition to his strength, mainly because he can control the three tails perfectly. At this moment, a huge turtle emerges from the water, and the breath is not as good as the wild three tails, but because of Yagura's control, the fighting ability is better than the wild one. Powerful. But then again, the three-tailed tortoise that can sleep for countless years can really control it completely. This Yagura, won't it be the illegitimate child of the three-tailed? How? Lay an egg, incubate it for 3 years, and Yagura will come out of the shell. Quote. Kakuzu didn't want to talk to Yizan anymore. He was afraid that he would become a fool if he continued like this. He took a few dozen steps back decisively, as if he had nothing to do with him. It's fine if Kakuzu doesn't go to war. Looking at the huge tortoise in front of him, Yizan smirked, his eyes flashing with interesting light. Yagura, it doesn't matter if you are Yagura or Asata, I'm in a good mood today, let's have some fun. After Yizan finished speaking, he instantly flashed onto the turtle's head, held up the flounder, and smashed it down. Boom! The huge hammer condensed by chakra slammed on the turtle's head, and the huge force smashed the turtle into the sea, stirring up the sky and waves. Roar! The tortoise let out a painful roar, and actually used its head to hold the flounder, opened its mouth, and spat out a huge chakra bullet. Call out! The huge water bomb hit the sky, but Yizan's figure disappeared. When he appeared again, he came directly to the back of the turtle. Boom! 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 The flounder was released 3 times in a row, smashing the tortoise into constant howls, and found that the tortoise's back was too hard. Yizan pouted, flashed to the turtle's tail again, and knocked on the tail. At this moment, Yagura has already made up. He never imagined that after he was completely transformed into a beast, he would become a sandbag. Moreover, in order to achieve the hearty percussion, every time Yizan liberates the flounder, he produces a quasi-cage-level chakra, and every attack has the effect of a cage-level full blow. When Yizan tapped the flounder for the 10th time, Yagura finally couldn't bear it any longer and released the tail beast. Seeing that Yizan was about to smash the flounder again, Yagura was finally scared. He turned his head and ran away without thinking about it. Run away. Yizan laughed. For the first time in his life, he felt that hitting someone with a hammer was really cool. Seeing that Yagura ran a few hundred meters, Yizan immediately used Hiraishin to chase after him, and then picked up the flounder. Boom! A loud noise, the surrounding 100-meter ground collapsed, and Yagura was smashed into the ground by a huge force. But is that the end of it? Do not. When Yagura was smashed into the ground, he directly used the Doden Earth-style technique to escape. Although he is a Mizukage, he also has several chakra changes, and the mere Doden Earth-style technique is easy. Then, land, give me a face, the surrounding 2,000 meters are all raised. A miraculous sight appeared in the eyes of thousands of ninjas. The thick earth took off. Yizan locked Yagura, picked up the flounder and smashed it again. Boom! Shimura-zan, don't deceive people too much. If you keep doing this, the fish will die and the net will be broken. Boom! Shimura-gen, you. Boom! Gee! Boom! With Yizan's last smash, Yagura was covered in blood and lay weakly in the deep pit. The entire battlefield was quiet, and everyone looked at this scene, shocked and terrified. Gee! Nura-zan, cough! Yagura kept vomiting blood and was continuously attacked violently. His internal organs were shattered by the flounder, and even his back was broken in two. The seal of the tailed beast. Completely liberated. Roar. A loud roar. Chakra, who surpassed the cage level, instantly sent Yizan flying. Yagura, who was seriously injured and dying, finally chose to lift the seal of the three tails and release the three tails. Without the last protection of the three-tailed chakra, Yagura's injuries broke out completely, the internal organs were crushed, the bones were crushed, and the blood vessels were all burst, and he had died no longer. Tisk tisk tisk. I'm dead, that's fine, Sanwei, let's continue playing. Yizan excitedly picked up the flounder, Sanwei glared at Yizan, sprayed tailed beast bomb, and then ran away. Well, it ran like this, running fast, and there happened to be a big river near the battlefield. It rushed into the river at the fastest speed, and disappeared without a trace after a while. Circled.operator_circled.operator. Seeing Sanwei disappear at an extremely fast speed, Yizan was immediately stunned. He stared in disbelief, then puffed out his face in anger. Three Tails, why did you run away? Hey, come back. What about the dignity of the tailed beast? Hey. Yizan rushed to the river and shouted, but received no response. He sighed helplessly and turned his head. At that moment, the battlefield collapsed. Run! The big devil is here! One of the Kurigakur ninjas shouted in horror and ran frantically in the direction of the land of water. He regretted it. Why did he hit the hinterland of the land of fire? 757 is far from home, so far. Run! Take one slow step and you'll be dead. Ah, don't kill me! Another Kurigakur ninja shouted, and some of them, Chunin and Genin, who were mentally fragile, even had their feet weak. Kneeling directly to the ground. Ooh, great demon king, please let me live. I have an 80-year-old mother and a 5-year-old child waiting to be fed. Hey, you look like you're only in your teens, but you've been a girl since you were 10. Your mother is 80. Yizan carried the flounder and came to the Kurigakur Chunin, and found that Yizan was coming. He retreated back in horror, using both hands and feet together, retreating frantically. Boom! The flounder swept past his ear and smashed into the ground, causing a crater. At that moment, as if he had lost all his strength, the Chunin slumped directly to the ground. The surrenderer will not be killed, and the escapee will not be killed. Hyuga, you and your family are responsible for sealing these surrendering ninjas. Uchiha Fugaku, you follow me with the Uchiha family to continue chasing. The remaining Konoha colleagues, cooperate with Hyuga to prevent the surrenderers from resisting. Go. Yizan gave the order, although Uchiha Fugaku wanted to refuse, but when he looked at the flounder not far away, he didn't dare to resist. He nodded silently, waved his hand, and followed Yizan's pace with the entire clan. Chapter 319-Days Crisis. At Konoha's temporary residence, Yizan sat with a golden sword, with Kakuzu, Hyuga Zongji, Uchiha Fugaku and others on either side. Before, he forcibly took the Uchiha clan to chase the fleeing Kurigakur ninjas. Due to the order to kill, these Kurigakur ninjas began to frantically and desperately saw that they were caught up, causing a lot of casualties to the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Fugaku dared not speak his anger. He could only sit in his seat silently, not even daring to look at Yizan, for fear that the other party would see his resentful eyes and be targeted for revenge. This decisive battle, the country of water, is almost over. Kakuzu, have the statistics come out yet? Come out. We lost 1,200 people, the country of water lost about 3,000 people, most of them were killed by you, and the high-end power of the country of water, the 4 generations of Mizukage, the patriarch of the water moon, the patriarch of Kagaya, and on the battlefield all the ghost lamp clan, all killed. Kakuzu's words made the dozen elites in the room take a deep breath. They didn't dare to be distracted on the battlefield. Although they knew that Shimura-zan had killed many people, they didn't realize until this moment that Shimura-zan killed all of the water country alone. Master. But there is one thing, I can't figure it out. Kakuzu frowned slightly, and a hint of doubt flashed in his green eyes. the 7 ninja swordsmen who were active on the battlefield a few times ago did not appear at all in the decisive battle. Huh, didn't I kill Ghost Lantern Moon? Yes, there are only Ghost Lantern Moon and Tsukazan Fuguki on the battlefield, and the others are not there. Oh right, there is one interesting thing, you may not have noticed, on the battlefield, Tsukazan Fuguki has been hiding from you. Where did you kill? He ran away in the opposite direction, as if afraid of you. PFF'd. Yizan was drinking water, and as soon as it reached his mouth, he spit it out. He grinned and looked very happy. That idiot Tsukazan Fuguki, if you don't tell me, I will almost forget him. He is afraid of me, of course he is afraid of me. Thinking of the 5-nation joint entrance exam a few years ago, the smile on Yizan's face got bigger and bigger. At the beginning, Tsukazan Fuguki followed behind him and kept begging him to give him the shark muscle back. With that nuo appearance, his tall figure and fierce face, the contrast was so cute that he couldn't stand it. But then again, where did the other 7 people go? I don't know. Then what do you know? I know money management. Unlike you, I can't do anything. Quote. Seeing Kakuzu complaining about himself calmly, Yizan immediately clenched his fists, waved Kakuzu fiercely a few times, pouted, and lay down comfortably on the chair. At this moment, Hyuga Hiyashi looked at Yizan cautiously, hesitated for a moment, and said softly, Master Zan, I know where they went. Oh, how do you know? Before the war, our Hyuga clan had been using Byakugan to monitor each other's movements. Hazashi happened to be watching. He found that a group of 7 had left the temporary camp in Kurigakure village and made a large circle towards our Konoha. Our army can't hold it anymore, so I dare not say it. Hazashi, is that so? Lord Zan, that's what my brother said. I speculate that they should be wandering outside Konoha village, attacking Genin and Chunin who went out of the village to do missions. In order to shake our already fragile military heart, I discussed it with my brother. For a moment, in that situation, the army could no longer withstand the blow, so I didn't say. Hyuga Hazashi's analysis makes sense. In that case, withholding the news is the best way, but can Yizan bear it? When he heard a group of 7 people wandering around Konoha village, he thought of a somewhat vague but memorable image. That picture is, Might Dai, in order to protect Might Guy, Shiranui Genma and Ebisu who are still Genin, open the death gate of the 8 inner gates and block the powerful 7 people of ninja swords. I don't want to say anything right now, Hiyashi, Hazashi, you wait for me, and I'll take care of you when I get back. Yizan was very anxious. Might Dai was his good friend. For 7 years, since he was 10 years old, Might Dai selflessly taught himself the complete cultivation system of the Might family, although he did not open the might of the 8 inner gates. Dai is very weak, but some friendships cannot be divided by strength. Call out. With a light sound, Yizan disappeared instantly. In the conference room, only everyone was left with big eyes and small eyes. Hiyashi and Hazashi felt even more aggrieved. They couldn't figure out why they had provoked Lord Zan. On the other side, 20 kilometers outside the village of Konoha. Surrounded. It's over, I can't escape now. Are you going to die? Might Guy, Shiranui's anima, and Ebisu knelt on one knee on the ground. The 3 of them were just genin, and the imposing manner of the other party made them unable to stand up. There are 7 ninja swordsmen in Kurigakure village, although there are only 5 of them. Why? Why are they here? Shiranui's face was full of despair. Compared with Might Guy, who only knew how to practice, and Ebisu, who was born as a commoner, Shiranui between the strings knows more. Yo, I didn't expect that even other ninjas from Shinobi village knew about us. We're also very famous. Dewa Juzo smiled cruelly, his eyes flashing with bloodthirsty light. He hates Konoha ninjas so much, he hated it 10 years ago. Every time he saw the Konoha ninja, he couldn't help the killing intent in his heart. He couldn't help but recall the picture 10 years ago, that nasty little devil who played himself around and made himself the laughing stock of the country of water. Thinking of this, Biwajuku suddenly burst out with a terrifying murderous aura. Facing the 3 Konoha genins, he mercilessly exploded all his power, as if he could tear the 3 genins to shreds in the next second. Just when Biwajuzo was about to shoot. Call out. A green light flew from a distance. Might Dai, who opened the 3rd door, rushed to the front of the 3 genin at an extremely fast speed. Dad. Might Gai's eyes widened in disbelief, and his tone was extremely surprised. What are you doing here? I'm here to save you guys. Gai, take your companions away. The 7 people of Kurigakure's ninja swords, let me resist. Chapter 320 only paid me 500. Over the forest of the land of fire, a figure flickered from time to time. Where is it? Might Dai, you idiot, wait for me. Yizan was nervous. He knew that if he was late, Might Dai, his long-term friend, would die today. Yizan has used the technique of Horizon to ultimate. Every time he teleports, he locks his eyes to the horizon. Every time he teleports, he can teleport tens of thousands of meters. Fortunately, he has infinite chakra consumption. The quasi-shadow chakra has been used up long ago. He kept teleporting, using his eyes and perception at the same time, to search for the movement of chakra on the ground. Suddenly, a touch of green appeared in the forest in the extreme distance. Yizan's eyes narrowed, and he found that a chakra momentum began to climb towards the cage level. Shit, Might Dai, you idiot. Yizan was shocked, locked on the green light, and instantly crossed 10,000 meters. At this moment, Might Dai had put his hand on his heart, and the momentum on his body was still rising. The 8 inner gates, Dai. Boom. With a loud noise, Yizan kicked Might Dai away with one kick, and opened the 8 inner gates in half, allowing Might Dai to quickly react, spinning a few times in midair, and stood firmly on the ground. Shaozan. Idiot, don't close the 8 inner gates. Yizan snorted angrily, which immediately made Might Dai a little embarrassed. He quickly closed the 8 inner gates. Fortunately, he did not open the door to death and did not fight. With his physical fitness, such a 1-second opening did not cause too much damage. Much damage. Big brother's on. Well, Guy, back up a little with your mates. After Yizan finished speaking, he finally fixed his gaze on the 7 people of ninja blades. To be precise, there were only 5 people. Biwajuzo, long time no see, 10 years. To be precise, it's been 10 years and 3 months, Shimura-zan. Biwajukuren's tone was calm, but there was a sense of depression that was about to explode. You remember very carefully. Of course, be careful, I will never forget the insult you gave me back then. Biwa Tenku's face was icy cold. Back then, Yizan and Hyuga Zongzi and other Anbu were trapped in the country of water. He was ordered to arrest him, but was deceived by Yizan's little fortune-teller and became the laughing-stock of the country of water. Remember the fate I gave you back then? Of course I remember. It may take 10 years for the results to come to fruition after a single thought. This is exactly in line with my name, Juzo. Today is the 10th year. I have to admit, Shimura-zan, your level of fortune-telling is very good. Do you regret it? You let me slip away from your eyes after a single thought. Regret. If I had recognized you, the Water Kingdom would not have collapsed, and the 2nd generation Mizukage would not have died. You Konoha might be wiped out by our 4 great kingdoms. This, Biwa Tenku pulled out the beheading sword on his back, and the aura of the top elite burst out. Shimura-zan, let's fight. 10 years later, I really want to know whether you are dead or I am dead. Battle. Swish. Yizan tore through the space and came to the back of Biwa Tenzo in an instant. The knife in his right palm burst into a violent wind, and slashed towards Biwa Tenzo's neck. Clang. With a light sound, the beheading sword narrowly blocked the attack. At the same time, Kuriarer Kushimaru, Akabi no Jinin, Munashi Jinpachi, Kurosuke Lei Kiba drew their swords and attacked at the same time. Shish. The first to attack was the fastest Kuriarer Kushimaru. He wore an Anbu mask and had slender limbs. He looked weak, but he was actually walking fast. Holding a long knife needle, he swept past Yizan with a very strange movement technique, and the long knife needle instantly extended and stabbed in an attempt to pierce Yizan. However, in the next second, Kurayarara Kushimaru's pupils shrank sharply, and the face hidden under the mask completely changed color. Yizan lifted his foot and swept away, and several wind blades that were comparable to A-level ninjutsu burst out. Because he rushed too fast, Kurayarara Kushimaru was unprepared. Puff! Splashed, Kurayarara Kushimaru's body was cut off by the wind blade. In the face of me, you still underestimate the enemy. Are you the 7 ninja swordsman at this level? You underestimate your sister. What the hell is futon wind style from your toes? You pervert. Might die in the distance, cursed in his heart. He felt that a super genius like Shimura-zan bullied people too much. Others used all their strength to attack quickly, but they were said to be underestimated, and he also saw that Kurayarara Kushimaru was originally a ninja who has to attack or not to defend, commonly known as the crispy assassin. Yizan killed Kurayarara Kushimaru in one move, and the remaining few felt an overwhelming crisis envelop them. This was the first time they had fought against Yizan. That feeling is so terrifying. Top Elite Jonin was too weak in Yizan's eyes. Seeing that several others were attacking him at the same time, he gently shook his head and disappeared instantly. Haraishin Array. Swish swish swish. For a moment, Yizan flashed in the space at a speed that the naked eye could not see clearly, and every time he flashed, he could see a splash of blood. Shoo! Yizan's last space teleportation came to Biwa Shizuo. Due to Yizan's previous teleportation, Biwa Shizuo completely lost his ability to react. Yizan waved his palm knife and slashed across it, instantly cutting off Biwa's neck. Yizan stood still, motionless, and the 7 swordsmen who attacked Yizan also remained motionless. Puff! Blood splattered, dying half of the Sky Yuhi, and several top Kurigakure elites fell to the ground, with a wound from the wind blade on their necks. The rest of the people died, but Biwa Shizen was not dead, and for some reason, Yizan held back his hand a little at the last blow. Even so, Biwa Shizen was only a few seconds late, and he stared at him. Yizan, with his mouth open, was unable to speak because his neck was cut. Actually, I just wanted to say that when I gave you fortune-telling back then, it was all a lie to you. I can't tell fortunes at all. Hey, I'll pay you back the money. After going to hell, don't hate me tilde. Yizan squatted down, took out a few pieces of money from the clothes kabuto and stuffed it into Biwa Shizuo's arms. At this moment, Biwa Shizuo was on the verge of dying. Don't be reconciled, I wish you a peaceful age in your next life, bye tilde. Yizan made a wave of his hand, and gradually, Biwa Shizen's consciousness began to blur, and his last thought stayed on the money that Yizan had given him. He was indignant and very unwilling. Stinky brat, when I gave you 1,000 taels, you only paid me 500.